Welcome to House Call.
What the hell is a house call? And why is there a red phone on my goddamn table? And why do I got this jersey on right now?
I don't know.
Because we have nothing else to talk about.
Basketball season's over. We're here to yap a little bit about football.
It's what we do. We are professional yappers. We got to make some money.
Multi-dimensional yappers.
That's what I'm saying. We got to make some money. My rent is due. We got to talk.
Oh my God.
Hey,
the yapology is just like running through my veins right now. And I'm so curious as to what's going on. Why the fuck do I see a hamster on the goddamn wall right behind you, Donovan? I'm so curious.
We got a football show.
Damn! Pew, pew, pew.
Cue the intro music. So like we said, we're here for the first episode of House Call. What is this? That's the question everybody's wondering. The question you just asked out loud. This is everything that you come to expect from us on the Deep Three. Everything you've seen us do for the past, what is it, three years now?
Yep.
Damn, we've been there for a while.
Wow.
Everything you've seen from us last 3 years.
Straight bullshit.
All the episodes, the long form, the short form, the games, the topics, the tomfoolery, all of it. We're going to take that exact same formula that you guys know and love, put it in the NFL. It's the same exact thing. This is a duplicate of what we already did. We're just doubling up. Nothing changes on the basketball side. Once a week, though, we're going to have a football show for you guys.
And if you've been paying really close attention, you would have noticed that we've slipped up, and not even slipped up, but maybe intentionally said here or there, like instead of all-star, say all-pro.
Dude.
Or start making more NFL comparisons. You saw the phone a couple weeks ago.
They're crown eaters. Their IQ is like so low. I don't blame them, bro. Sometimes I forget that, oh shit, like I got a new show to record today.
Yeah.
I'm just like you. I ain't catch on.
Yeah, he was late day one. I've been tweeting the house call emojis. People are trying to figure out what it means. They're like, bro, you're not mysterious.
We see what you're doing.
They're like, dude, we're not going to get it right. Stop asking.
Yeah.
And you know what? Nobody's got it right. Somebody said house call, but like they weren't like NFL show. They were just like, house call?
Yeah.
So this is what it is, man. Like we said, we're expanding our content universe to sports covering now. People have asked us for a long time, obviously. And I think for a long time, I've always wanted to do this. Obviously, I always want to talk about football, but it was very difficult to cover two sports at the level that I feel like we have to do for me to be satisfied with the level of content. But we've reached a point now. We have the resources, the help, the people that can, take some weight off of our shoulders on the main show that I feel good saying we have the time, the capabilities, the mental bandwidth, the passion to do two sports.
The drive, the power.
We got 10% luck, 20% skill.
We have it all.
I just realized that means we get like twice Donovan rants.
We do.
Two more Donovan rants.
I don't know. You guys
per
are
week.
familiar with him as a Knicks fan. Take everything you know about Donovan as a Knicks fan, as a hater, as all the caricatures that make Donovan, multiply them times 1,000, and that's how he feels about football and the Eagles.
Why are you Eagles fan?
As I was a child, the quarterback of the Eagles was Donovan McNabb, and as a 6-year-old, I see a quarterback. I say he has my name. That's all it took.
He said that's my guy.
That's all it took. I've gotten 2 Super Bowl rings out of it. Great decision.
For some background, me and Donovan are big football fans, but I say that we're big football fans. We've been covering the NBA for the last 5 years, and obviously making content every day. You're in the weeds, you're in the know, you know all the details about every single team. Maximum amount of mental bandwidth going towards basketball. We've been more fans on the football side because we haven't been covering it, as seriously. Yeah. So on this show, you're going to grow with us because we're obviously right away not going to be quite at the level of in-depth knowledge you have on the basketball side. Over time, we'll get there as we get our feet back under us again because we both covered football in the past in college and stuff writing, but now we're getting back to that. We're going to need a little bit of time. So grow with us. If you hear us put our foot in our mouth because we talk out of ignorance, no, that's why. We'll get better over time.
Brother, you said a little bit of time. I'm going to need a lot of time. I'm going to need like a whole year because I was an NFL fan, very casual back when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. Believe it or not, when I first started playing Madden in like 2010 or whatever, my favorite team was the Eagles, not because of no damn Donovan, not because of Mike Vick, no reasons whatsoever other than that hard-ass jersey and their logo. But since then, of course, I was born in North Carolina. Initially, my favorite team is the North Carolina Panthers. That guy right there, outside of LeBron James, that's my GOAT.
I'm gonna stop. This is the first time you've ever mentioned claiming North Carolina.
I'm from there.
He's always been, I'm Atlanta, I'm Mr. Atlanta.
I'm raised in Atlanta, but I was literally born in North Carolina.
He doesn't want to claim
and
that,
listen,
Ryan.
when I was a free agent, when I was 15 years old, I took a lay at the land and I was like, what team can I like place my fandom in?
Yeah.
And that guy earned it.
Yeah.
That guy earned it.
So me and Domin are big football fans. We round out our knowledge a little bit, but we're big football fans. We know football. Like Mo said, this is him getting into football pretty much. So
all over again.
You don't have a real football team that you're a fan of.
I'm a free agent.
You're a free agent. Over time, probably about the end of this first season, I think you'll probably end up picking a team.
Yeah.
And like you said, the audience is gonna grow with you because you're starting from, I don't want to say square one, some football players, but damn near square one to get to the point that people are gonna look up a year from now and it's gonna be like a different you.
Yeah, exactly. Literally in the year 2026, summer 2026, I'll probably be making my decision. We'll make a very important episode clip or whatever, and I'll have like a ton of jerseys and hats or whatever, and I'll be deciding what team I will lay my fandom in.
Yeah, this whole first year is just like your transformation from casual to expert.
Yeah, exactly.
In football.
I'm excited.
Yeah, with that being said, first episode we're here, as you guys see by the title. We are jumping into the deep end. We're going to talk about every single NBA team's offseason. We're going to grade every single team's offseason, talk about their free agency moves, their coaching hires, the guys they let go, obviously their drafts. Just talk about general big picture. How much did this team get better this summer compared to where they were last year? Obviously, every team is on different timelines, has different expectations. We're going to grade every single team for what you would expect if you were a fan of that team and how happy you'd be by the end of this offseason.
Okay.
Where are we starting?
Excited.
We're going to start with the NFC East. And let's just jump straight into your favorite team. The Dallas Cowboys. What are we grading the Dallas Cowboys offseason? Because this is an interesting one because obviously the Cowboys are not coming off of a strong year. Not coming off of a year in which the fans were happy, mainly because Dak Prescott got hurt very early on and things snowballed into them being pretty much a disaster, a lost season.
Would you say that this is like this past year for the Cowboys is easily one of the more disappointing years over the last, 5 to 7 years, or no?
I mean, yes and no. Like,
it's the Cowboys. There's a lot of disappointing years. To say what the most disappointing year of the Cowboys is to be like, which black eye hurt the worst?
Yeah. But also at the same time, like, Dak got hurt last year.
Yeah.
And so it's like it is what it is, right? So you're going to be okay. They go 7-10 last year. Right now, their win total is projected at 7.5 wins. So Vegas is saying, they're saying everything that they did last year, I know you've made a couple upgrades, same team. So, and
obviously Dak got hurt. That's the biggest defining part of why the outcome of the season spiraled. But they also were deeply flawed. Even if Dak stayed healthy, they still had quite an uphill battle because they just weren't talented enough on the offensive end.
Yes.
Starting there. Don't have a wide receiver 2. Last year it was CD, Ferguson against the world. Didn't have a strong running game. And then defensively, even now, their roster up and down. They have competent players there, but there's not the star power defensively you need to make up for the lack of talent. And I think if we're grading this team, your decision on what you're grading it really comes down to how you feel about the big addition to one of those problems I mentioned, being the wide receiver 2.
Yep.
The addition of George Pickens via trade. They added him. They added Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders to hopefully get a running game. Not names that inspire you. On the defensive end, they added Kenneth Murray, Dante Fowler Jr., Solomon Thomas. Got some guys in the mix in the trenches. And in the draft, first round, Tyler Booker. So,
which is fine. It's fine. I
need a lot of fine things.
Yeah, and that's why you get a fine grade. I'm giving the Cowboys a C.
I thought you would give them a B. I mean, it sounds like they addressed their wide receiver room, and then on top of that too, like
yes. Okay, so Pickens as your number 2 receiver, massive upgrade. Do I think that they are going to be better? Yes, but also at the same time, I think whenever you're grading off seasons, it is kind of weird because a lot of times you are like completely wrong. Like you can go into a season and say, and say like, oh, this move sucked. You shouldn't have hired this person. Yeah. And then you get halfway through the season, it's like, oh wow, everything's turning out. So I think the overall grade is dependent on 1, did you at least try to fix some of the flaws that you had? And then 2, how much hope do you have? Granted, Cowboy fans are going to be, ridiculous in whatever, however they feel. But I just think that like, you probably could have did a little bit better to give them hope. Like hiring Brian Schottenheimer as your head coach. They moved on from the head coach from the last like 5 years.
Okay.
And so that wasn't an inspiring hire.
That's the part that makes
Where did he come from? Worse.
Dallas.
From
They
within.
hired
It was an
within.
internal hire.
Yeah, they hired within. And that's the part that obviously people have debates with, because whenever people hire a new coach, you fire an old veteran like they had, and you want to bring in fans want like a Ben Johnson. They want an offensive coordinator that's below the age of 40 that can be the next wonderkin, that can be their Sean McVay, be their Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
That's kind of always what people have in the back of their heads these days when they hire a new coach. So they did the opposite of that. It wasn't a sexy pick. I don't know enough about him to know if it's going to be actually as bad as people act, because it's the absence of splash. So I don't ding him for that. But yeah, it's not inspiring there. I gave him a B+.
Wow, vastly different.
That's a little bit.
Is that a little bit of Donovan tax like applied to that when it comes to
No,
the
I don't.
Cowboys?
I,
Get a
no,
good skin?
I don't even think so. I think like you can. Okay, so for me, one of the biggest reasons that I also am dinging them is, one, yes, you overhauled the running back room, but like Javonte Williams has not been Javonte Williams in several years.
Post ACL, his juice is gone.
Exactly, that's not really there. Miles Sanders hasn't been the same since he left the Eagles several years ago. And then the thing that the Cowboys always do is you wait until the very last moment to give your star player the extension, and then it ends up costing you more money in the long run. And it's what they did with Dak Prescott. It's what they did with CeeDee Lamb. And then they're doing the same thing with Micah Parsons this year. And you could give Micah Parsons the extension right now, and moving forward, that number wouldn't be as big as what it would be next year.
Yeah.
And so they just haven't learned their lesson. So I don't think that they're moving smart from a front office perspective. So that's why I'm giving them a C- instead of a B.
I'm at least going B-. C- feels extreme to me. So I don't think
this is like they didn't do shit.
I know that C- to me sounds like you're just below average. Like you didn't get better. I think if you got a C, you're pretty much stagnant. And that's what you said your opinion of them is. One, I love the George Pickens move.
Yeah.
I love the idea of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens as a duo.
In your mind, real quick, where would you rank them? Or are they a top 10 wide receiver duo?
Top 10. They're top 5. They're like easily top 5.
You want to give them a C-?
They're easily top 5. But they're closer to 5 than they are to 1.
Okay.
So it's not. But top 10 is like way too low of a bar. Just because CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Exactly.
And he, his whole thing is his versatility, his ability on the interior, his ridiculous route running from the slot, being able to attack the middle of the field and operate in a very versatile way, going up the seams. Dak Prescott loves to attack. Everything I just said is a complete opposite of George Pickens.
Thank you.
And I love that.
Yeah.
The dynamic there between the move around the formations, put him in motion, do it all, put him in tight formations type of guy of CeeDee Lamb that makes him so special. And then the compliment of having George Pickens, who will stay his ass on the outside, will run straight, catch contested catches, do one thing at the highest level possible in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot else, but that's okay because CD is the complete opposite of that. I love that combination, specifically with Dak Prescott coming back if he's healthy. So that's one. I like that a lot. And outside of that, all their most important moves, their money spent and in the draft, straight to the trenches, which is obviously something that they need to fortify. Getting Tyler Brooker in round 1, I think was viewed as a little bit of a reach. People weren't expecting him to go that high. People expect them to get like Matthew Golden and get a receiver. Or if you're going to pick an O-lineman, they were expecting, what's the dude's name from the Seahawks that they drafted?
Zabel?
Zabel. Yeah. They were expecting some other guys that were mocked to go higher. So feel how you feel about Tyler Booker being the specific O-lineman they picked as a guard in the first round. I'm never going to be upset with you going first round first round offensive lineman. That won't ever upset me. Mm-hmm. Second round, Donovan Ezeraku. Again, trenches will never upset me.
Yeah.
Third round, Shelvin Ravel Jr., another guy that at corner is a lot of people think can be a starter for them. So if you're telling me their biggest things is they got a wide receiver 2, their biggest weakness, they gave Dak the help he needs. They fortify their O-line, fortify their D-line, and hopefully got a cornerback to start, which is something they desperately need long term. I feel like that's well above average for where you started to where you ended up.
I'll say this, because you failed to mention one thing about George Pickens.
Okay.
George Pickens is the NBA youngboy of the NFL.
True.
What does that mean?
It means
problem
that
child.
He is like your wide receivers are always like divas and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens, there's plays where interceptions are thrown, and instead of going to tackle the man with the ball, George Pickens is like, who's the closest person to me? I'm gonna go hit them. Like he has a very, very
short-tempered,
outlandish personality,
and that's why he's not on the Steelers anymore. So that's part of it.
And so
I'm sensing a little Draymond Greenish in this game.
very much so.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It's a little
More Draymond mentality.
Okay.
If anything, but like it's good in principle and in theory. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work out because George Pickens is also in a contract year. And so now he's going from being the number 1 receiver to being the number 2 receiver. You think that winning cures all. And so hopefully everything works out and Pickens is fine there. Not 100% sure if that's going to be a good dynamic, as we get later into the season. And then even even the O line and the running game, which I mean, last year the running game was not great.
I have no faith the running game will be good. That's why it's not an A.
Damn.
I have no faith that they fix that. That is still a problem. That's why they can't be A.
Yeah. So like Javonte Williams, according to Next Gen Stats, had the third lowest rushing yards over expected in the league last year, in the entire league. And so you go from having a guy in Rico Dowdle who last year, and again, rushing yards over expected, it's not the end all be all, but it's a good like catch all for, or not catch all, but it's a good stat to see like what is the running back and how productive is him compared to, you know, his situation. He was more in like the Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson range in terms of his production. And now you're getting two guys who dropped severely from that. So I am worried about that. I am worried about Dak. I think Dak is a great quarterback. Aging also a little bit. We'll see how that, you know.
Coming off injury.
How that.
Perpetually coming off injury.
How that works.
Damn.
So it's a C. It's a C.
Okay, then it sounds like we're split. We'll put them on. We have the chart for all of our grades. We'll put them in the middle, in between B and C. That's, you know, B minus, C plus, wherever you want to, on average. That feels like a good place to go for the Cowboys. Let's stay in the NFC East. Let's throw you a bone. Talk about your second favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. What are we grading the Eagles coming off of a Super Bowl? Obviously, you know, typically when you win a Super Bowl, your roster gets immediately leached. You immediately lose talent. Everyone wants to hire your sign your guys. That is typical of every champion. That is no exception here. They lost some key guys in free agency. You know, comes with the territory, especially with their mode of operations of being insanely expensive and stacking their books on the back end and stacking as much talent as you can in the front. When you win a championship, you're going to lose some guys because you kind of have to do some give and take. Yeah. How do you grade it overall after losing Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Mekhi Becton, Isaiah Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Bryce Huff, and Darius Slay?
God damn.
It's a lot of names.
It is a lot.
Some more consequential than others, but it is a lot of names.
It's okay. At least like 3 of those names from the time we were in November, we knew they were going to be gone. So it doesn't sting as bad. I would like to go C plus, B minus.
I wrote C plus.
I'll go B minus at if I'm being optimistic about it. I just think that like, and I'll go B minus. You resign
if I'm being optimistic.
you resign Zach Bond, which I think that's priority number one.
Yep.
Because the Eagles for the longest time have had very, very shaky linebacker play, and then to go and find a diamond in the rough. Like Zach Bond was he was an All-Pro last year out of nowhere, and so you come back, you sign him. That's great. You re-sign Saquon Barkley, the engine of your offense. Cool, I'm with that. Mekhi Becton is the only starter not coming back. I am perfectly fine. Shout out to Mekhi. Thank you for your service. We have Jeff Stoutland as our offensive line coach. We are going to be fine. I'm cool with that. On the back end, the fact that you let go of Darius Slay, that writing was on the wall. You know that you have a youth movement. It's okay. You traded CJ Gardner-Johnson for money, for some politics, you know, some locker room stuff, whatever. Again, you still have young guys, and I'm very, very excited to watch the second round pick, Andrew Mukuba, who played for Texas.
Yeah.
Super excited to watch him in this defense because he is very, very versatile. He's a hard hitter. Like the whole thing about the Eagles defense is that you play in your shell and you play to different parts of the field, and you play this match coverage, right? In this like Vic Fangio thing. And you need guys to play different, to be able to play different positions so that you can move the chess pieces around. Mukuba can do that.
And Jahad Campbell, somebody who I think profiles to be a really good coverage linebacker. So, like you said, you want versatile pieces. That's 2 of them in the draft. That is a silver lining. That's why it's not like a D or F.
Yeah.
Because they replenished where they could with their assets. I think like when I'm grading someone's offseason, it's not necessarily like they couldn't have had an A, really. You know, you're going to lose guys. That's going to be like, I think to get an A, you had to like gotten better. Yeah. That wasn't possible for the situation they're in coming off a Super Bowl with the way the roster was constructed. So I wrote C minus. You're saying B minus. I felt that nets out as a C, right?
We'll go C.
Defending your championship, at best you're trying to stay C. You're trying to stay neutral. And I think I don't care too much about the DBs they lost for the reasons you said, especially because they hit on 2 gems in the draft last year that you can live with that. I do care about the lost D-line depth just because that was such a superpower. And while you didn't lose your best guys and you have the young DT, what was his name again?
Ty Robinson that you drafted?
No, the one that's in to replace Milton Williams.
Oh, Ajomo.
Okay. You have Ajomo to come in and basically replace Milton Williams. So you can feel good about that. Still an assumption. You lost Milton. You lost Josh Sweat. That is a ding of some sort. So I feel like C is fine.
So a question to you I got is of course, you guys won the championship last year in a fucking insane fashion. You guys mollywopped the Chiefs. Is there a aspect of? Is there an aspect of?
It was 34-0 at a certain point. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So, is there an aspect of this line? Because you guys have lost a lot of guys over, not even this past year, but last year too. Is there an aspect at all through this roster that you were super worried about?
Yeah, what's your biggest worry going next year?
I guess for me, it would be the linebacker unit, just because Nakobe Dean got hurt. I forget exactly what week, but he got hurt against. I can't remember the game, but he ended up hurting his knee. He was out for the playoff run, and he's not going to be back for a while. Even Jahad Campbell, who we drafted and is supposed to be a very versatile and honestly great value for where he fell in the draft, but he's not going to be ready until August. And so you really have Zach Bond and a whole bunch of other guys like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who you very much have to show people that you can like step up into this role. And so that's probably the area that I'm most worried about. Okay. I think that the offense, again, because you're returning so many people and you hired from within, which the last time we went to the Super Bowl and our coordinators got hired away wasn't a great experience the year after when we hired from within. This one seems to feel a little bit better than what happened 2 years ago when Brian Johnson was the OC. So I feel good about the offense. It really is just the defense, especially because defense is so shaky on a year-to-year basis in the NFL. And so trying to keep this unit being like a top 5, a top 3, top 5 unit, like that's going to be one of the keys.
And that's why I said C, because it's going from top 1 unit that won the Super Bowl to let's try to stay top 5. And again, it's not, they can still very much be back in the Super Bowl. But if we're being honest with our grades and trying to have a good wide array, if you stay the same, I think C is what you go.
Yeah, 14 wins last year. Line is at 11.5. They have one of the hardest schedules in the league as well this year. So
where do they rank in terms of
like in terms of like the overall
league? Strength of schedule?
It's in like the top 7. Like it is one of the harder schedules in the league. I still think that they are going to be able to get at least 12 wins. I'm going to take the over on their stuff just because you look at their roster and especially on offense, it's just so much talent.
Yeah.
It's so much talent from position to position. And so I'm going to bet that wins out again. Okay. So it's a C for them though.
Okay. Let's move over to Washington. What are we grading the Commanders? Obviously their biggest additions. Left tackle Laramie Tunsil. Traded for him in a move that I think surprised a lot of people that the Texans are willing to come up off their best linemen when they're potentially the worst O-line in the goddamn league.
That's so embarrassing.
They had the worst situation offensively on the line and gave up their one above average tackle. Yeah. Send him to the Commanders. And Deebo Samuel as the other big addition on that side. Ooh. They lost Jonathan Allen. They lost Jeremy Chin. They lost Dante Fowler Jr. on the defensive side. Yeah. And on top of adding Laramie Tunsil, they drafted tackle Josh Connerly in the first round. So potentially set up their tackle duo of the future if things go well for Jaden Daniels. And in the second round, they drafted Trey Amos, who hopefully will be a starting cornerback for them, and drafted Jalen Lane in the 4th round. Where does this all net you? Because I listed a lot of things, and I think some are better than others.
I will say this. Deebo Samuels feels good. The age is up there. But when it comes to how he's able to really mesh and gel in the Commanders offense, I guess the question for you is, do you still believe him at this older age as a receiver?
Yeah, like I don't think Deebo should be like your number 1 receiver, and he's not going to be that. He's going to be
as long as they pay Terry in the air.
He will be there. Terry is going to be there. I think like you listed a lot of transactions. Something that you did not name or that you did not say was adding a running back. Like they still have Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and it's like it's not super inspiring.
They drafted Crockett Smith, I think his name. I forget. They drafted a 5th round rookie running back, which dart throw, cool. It's again just not the most inspiring offseason from that position, and that's why you go get Deebo Samuel is to be able to put him in. Oh, you think they'll do that again?
I think you can experiment with that. I think you can use him
as a back.
As a back, I think you can use him.
That's when he was
in
at
the short
best.
game.
Okay.
With the 49ers, they kind of went away from it because they added McCaffrey, so they no longer needed him to do that. And he wanted to get paid like a wide receiver, so he was a little hesitant to take a lot of carries and do more damage on his body to make less money in the running back market. But I can see that.
Yeah.
I kind of worry that maybe the juice is gone. The past couple of years haven't been. His numbers on tackles missed have plummeted year by year. That's when he was at his best a couple years ago, when he was that dual threat at the backfield and wide receiver, was a rack god, has been very regular there. Obviously beat up too. Maybe that's part of it. I'm not necessarily putting a lot of faith in him like transforming their wide receiver room, but Laramie Tunsil, shout out the false starts, shout out the holds, one of the most penalized offensive linemen in the league last year. Regardless, still a very good offensive tackle that, even if there was locker room issues that made them trade him, he is a clear upgrade over a line that last season we thought the Commanders would suck because their line was supposed to be so bad on paper.
Yeah.
They won in spite of it. They did fine in spite of it. They obviously knew they couldn't be complacent there. If Josh Connolly hits and they have a legitimate above average, God forbid, star duo to defend Jaden Daniels, that's amazing. That's an A ceiling. I'll give this offseason a B overall.
Yeah, it's gonna get a lot better because you said that there was like locker room issues. Tunsil was part, like he's the offseason issues, so he gets moved.
Yeah.
But again, like that floor is still there. And then for like you said, Josh Connolly, he's there. Sam Cosmi tore his ACL last year.
Mm-hmm.
If he comes back and he's able to be there, now you have 3 out of your 5 starting linemen where you feel decent and passable about it. And you know Jaden Daniels is so mobile, he can make things happen. And you just have to give him just a little bit of time and he could do some stuff. I'm cool with that. The Debo move, I'm also very much okay with it. They gave up a 5th round pick.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
It's fine. And honestly, one of the things that shocked me the most is that when I'm going back and I'm looking at Debo's like game log and stuff, he does get hurt a lot, but I thought that he missed more games than he did. I'm looking at last year, 15 games, year before 15, year before 13, year before 16. And so I was expecting to see like 10, 11, stuff like that.
He plays through injuries for sure.
He still is able to be up there. I don't think the Commanders are going to have one of the top 5 wide receiver duos. But having Debo and having his physicality does give you at least another option and another look that you can throw at people. And especially for a team that, if that O-line is still gelling, you are going to lean on everything that you did the year before, which is quick game, trying to get Jaden Daniels into favorable positions, getting guys the ball in space. Debo Samuel can still do that a little bit. So I don't hate that move.
Yeah, okay. It sounds like a real X factor to me. And I know, bro, back in my prime football watching days, ironically enough, RG3 was around. He went, of course, berserk in his early years, and then the next few years after that, he just like fell off the map. And I know there's so much like volatility going on with there's so much volatility going on in the QB room or QBs in general, because after a full year of tape, so much shit changes, and everyone has their eyes on you and they know your tendencies based off of a certain sample size of the season. I'm curious to see if Jaden Daniels has another leap in him.
Yeah, and I think obviously everyone talks about a sophomore slump being like an assumption because we see it all the time. And in part that's lazy just because we've seen it before. People assume it'll happen. But a big part of their offense was, not gimmick isn't the right word, but they did a lot to scheme away their weaknesses. And, all the RPOs, all the short passes to make up for the run game, all the typical things you see with these type of young quarterbacks. Smart coaches know how to give them a floor with those type of things. They did it perfectly. That's the type of thing that you can see teams really adjust to. And obviously Jaden Daniels proved he can beat the downfield over the middle of the field passer to make up for that, even if you take away some of the short game stuff. Wow. Fortifying the offensive line is exactly what you need to do to make sure they can't do that.
Yeah, okay. So I'll go B for them.
B sounds great. Okay.
And to finish out this division, we got the Giants. I think another B. I think this is also pretty much a B. Do you think it's worse?
I think it's much worse.
B?
Okay, wow, so obviously they signed Russell Wilson and they signed Jameis Winston to put a patch over the quarterback issues. Then the draft comes around. Number 3 pick in the draft. They draft Abdul Carter. Love that. Everyone loves that. It's the best edge rusher in the draft. They combine it with their already lethal defensive line. No problems there. Obviously, then comes the other first round pick. They trade up to take Jackson Dart at the end of the first round. That's kind of it became the defining part of their draft from like a narrative perspective, even though they added Abdul Carter while having Branch, Dexter, and Thibodeau. That's a stacked defensive line. That's why I'm giving them a B. I think that's going to be a ridiculously lethal unit that, regardless of what happens in the QB situation, their defense is going to be vastly improved because of that. That, to me, if you think the Jackson Dart thing was horrible and you think the Carter thing was amazing, I feel like it's a B.
So I think process for them was very weird. This
Certainly,
offseason.
yeah.
How so?
Because so like when the draft is leading up and they sign Russell Wilson and they sign Jameis, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like they're gonna wait this next year, see what they can put together, draft Carter, and then they'll go and try to get a quarterback next year. To trade back in to get Jackson Dart is weird.
Is it weird though?
A little bit.
Is it weird because you don't think he's good enough, or is it weird in practice? I don't think it's crazy that you're a coach like Dable that's like, you don't have many chances left. You need to latch yourself onto a young quarterback. If you think he's the guy, trading up to the back of the first to get him, ensure you get your guy, isn't crazy. Now, we can debate if he's like good enough for that in your eyes, but I don't think that process is nuts.
This is why I think it's nuts. One, I don't think he's like great.
That's
right?
the main thing.
He'll be fine. But also, why is Dable and Joe Shane still here? Like the head coach and the GM, they're going to be fired. Like this team, unless that defense is actually a top 15 unit, like they're gonna lose a lot of games.
I think they'll be top 15. I feel very safe saying that. Obviously, their defensive line is going to be ridiculous. They have the best DT in the NFL in Dexter Lawrence. I think. Shout out Chris Jones. Shout out whoever else you put in the competition. I don't feel like it's crazy to say Dexter Lawrence number one. That's obviously fair. Brian Burns, and if Abdul Carter is who we think he can be as a rookie, and then obviously Thibodeau as your third edge rusher who didn't quite pan out from the draft compensation area, but he's can still be serviceable as your third edge rusher. That is such a high floor. Then you get Javon Holland, who you signed from the Dolphins. You get Paulson Adebo from the Saints. I will be shocked that they're not a top 15 defense.
That's fine. Offensively.
Yeah.
You add the quarterback.
I will not be shocked that they're not top 15 offense.
This might be one of the worst. Not might be. This is going to be one of the worst offenses in the league. They were one of the least explosive passing offenses in the league. Had the least amount of completions for 20 plus yards last year. And guess what? They said every last one of y'all come back. Let's run it back. They have so many returning starters, which a majority of the time you're like, cool. We love continuity, except when everybody on the team sucks. And so I'm not super excited about their offense. And so this is going to be...
So you don't see one defining trait about their offense that could...
I think Malik Neighbors is amazing.
Okay.
But everybody else, I think Russell Wilson at this point is a deep ball merchant.
100% deep ball merchant. And Neighbors is like best used underneath and in the intermediate area. Like, I'm sure you can throw him deep balls, but you want to be able to use him versatilely.
Are you guys assuming that Russell Wilson will get the starting job day one?
He's gonna start off there, and they'll have some QB competition. Jackson Dart, by the time the season ends, Dart is going to be the starter. Yeah, because you can only go so long playing Russell Wilson ball. And Jameis Winston at this point, if he's out there, it's like playing 12 on 10.
12 on 10?
He's with them.
What?
He's with them. He's throwing. Okay. He's throwing pick sixes. Maybe that's the difference, right? Last year he had that amazing quote. He prayed to God to deliver him from pick sixes. I hope that my Lord answered his prayers. But I think that Jameis Winston is going to throw a lot of interceptions if he gets into the game. This offense is going to be so disgusting.
Yeah, I get it.
And so I'm just not super excited.
I'm not grading them on how good I think they'll be this coming year. I'm grading them based on what they did in the offseason. Yeah. And sell yourself whatever dream you want about Jackson Dart. I am not here to say he's the answer. I'm not confident that he's going to be able to read NFL defenses and attack over the middle of the field anywhere soon enough to save Dabble's job. But I am confident they will be a great defense and that is meaningfully better. That to me deserves a B.
Okay, I didn't hear your opinion when it comes to that QB room, so I have a question for you.
Okay,
you two you can answer as well. I want to know who should. God damn it, I fucked up the goddamn hook already. Week 1, who should be this NFL team's starting quarterback?
Okay,
the New York Giants. Answer it. Be a man.
Russell Wilson should be, just because if you want to throw the lifeline out there and have Jackson Dart be the guy that saves your job if you're Dabble, great. Yeah. Throwing him out there week 1 is not the best way to optimize that, I think. You need to give him time. You need to not put the pressure on him. If you sign Russell Wilson and Jameis and don't start one of them right away, it's like, what are we doing with this money?
It has to be Russell Wilson. You paid so much money, and not even so much, but you put a lot of resources into bringing him there, letting him be the adult in the room. It would be irresponsible to start week 1 with Jackson Dart as your starter.
No Jameis praise at all. No,
Stop
like
it. Again,
you're not entertaining him.
Should have
for fantasy football. It'd be great if I draft Malik Neighbors. I would love Jameis Winston to start.
If I see Jameis without a clipboard and a headset, you're suspended.
That's crazy.
that is your role this year. That's what you have to do.
Okay, next team, the Indiana Colts.
Indianapolis
Colts.
It should be it should be Anthony Richardson.
No, they need to pray to God it's Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not super confident it's going to work out super well. He's already injured.
So many jobs are on the line with his name.
They're throwing out so many feelers into the media of all these little quotes about the best guy's going to win. We're really going to treat it as a competition. It feels like they're saying, don't be shocked if Daniel Jones starts. I don't know. Week 1, maybe Anthony Richardson, but I'm not confident he finishes the season.
We are in year 3 of a player that you drafted 5th overall. He better be the starter.
Didn't he get surgery recently?
Yeah.
Yes.
On his eyes or something?
He probably got lazy. He's been under the knife several times already. I just think that like he has to show up. This is very much a year of we're gonna figure out what we have with Anthony Richardson, and if not, it's gonna be time to move elsewhere.
Damn. All right, last team, the Cleveland Browns. It's a shit show. There's hella names on here.
Who's my guess? Kenny Pickett, maybe. I feel like Joe Flacco might be cooked. He'll have a chance. I think they're not going to want to rush the rookies out there. Kenny Pickett's a nice middle ground. You gave a pick to get him. You got to prove his worth. If I say Kenny Pickett, am I confident he starts more than 3 games? Hell no.
Goddamn.
Put your watch up. Perfect time. It should be Shador. I think Joe Flacco is Joe. Really, everybody in that quarterback room is break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah. Goddamn.
You should only call Joe Flacco if you are on your 4th quarterback. You should only call Kenny Pickett if you're on your 6th quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, everybody picked, the Browns picked him. We're like, what? Like, I can't believe that happened. I do think that Shador is the best combination of win now and also let's develop a rookie quarterback.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Let's move over to the AFC North since we're talking about the Browns. What are we getting the Browns? Obviously, highlighted by the fact that they have Shador Sanders. It's one of the biggest stories of the offseason. Yeah. We know about the draft night fall and how do I phrase this? Just straight up debacle that happened in that front office to draft both quarterbacks. And I say this to say, I don't want to be mean, but I don't understand anything they did this offseason. To me, the Browns get a D. They added some good players. The practice is ludicrous. The practice of trading out Travis Hunter, not a big deal, right? That's fine. Actually, let's go back even further. Myles Garrett conversation. Do you trade him? Do you pay him? What do you do with this inflection point?
He had a bag, man.
You could have traded him and kickstarted a rebuild in a very proactive way, right? Yeah. You decide to pay him. Who am I to say you shouldn't keep your franchise legend around? Yeah. Fine. You got the top pick. Who am I to say you can't trade back? Everyone says you should always trade back and add more value, add more bites to the apple. You don't want Travis Hunter. You want to punt that, get more picks. Fine. You end up taking a running back with the first, second pick. Fine, I guess. If you want to say Judkins is one of the highest players on your board, sure. Who am I to disagree with your board, right? That's your board. You draft another running back 1 round later, or 2 rounds later in the 4th round. Okay, fine. Listen, you have a lot of holes. You got to add good players. Fine. Positional value isn't that important. Fine. You draft a quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, in the 3rd round.
It's a lot of grace you're giving.
Okay, fine. I can still rock with you if you think he's good and diamond in the rough.
What's that fine count, y'all?
we found starters in the 3rd round before. I can still understand it. And then you draft another rookie quarterback in the 5th round, and my fines have run out. What the fuck are we doing? This is so much grace you have to give them for the draft night process to make sense, on top of keeping Garrett, which I know a lot of Browns fans are mixed feelings about because he is a legend, but it would have made sense at this point to let him go. I can't leave feeling good. Like, I feel like I can have faith in this front office.
Anytime that you go into the season with one of the 2 worst quarterback rooms in the NFL, you get a D.
Yeah.
Minimum. And I think trading Myles Garrett should have been a conversation that they had before he even came out and was like, I don't want to be here. I think that's something that, because you gave Deshaun Watson $250 million, like
too many millions.
Yeah, too many millions, too many guaranteed millions.
Yeah.
Because you gave him that, you were already in this crazy hole. And so once Garrett comes out and says, I don't want to be here, that is your golden ticket. That's your chance to go out and take the best asset on your team and kind of restart this rebuild, especially after Deshaun Watson not only tears his ACL, but then re-ruptures it again. Like, there's nothing, there's no hope for him to come back and be whatever version of a good quarterback that you thought you were getting whenever you signed him.
Yeah, and I like some of the players he added. I like Mason Graham. I'm not mad at trading back to get Mason Graham. Not mad at all. You got an extra 1st round pick. Great. An extra 2nd round pick. Great. I like Quinshon Judkins. I like Harold Fannin enough. I like all these things enough, but you combine it and you see how the draft board shook out. You see how they have this ample opportunity with these second picks they added through the trade back for Travis Hunter, and it just doesn't feel good. And on top of that, the Bears had one of the worst interior offensive lines in the league last year. And anytime you sign a player from a team that has that type of description, I'm not going to feel good about it. And they signed right guard Tevin Jenkins from the Bears.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not great.
D.
So you're telling me they have no redeeming qualities at all? Nothing to like actually.
No, they do. Mason Graham
about.
will eat off of next to Myles Garrett. Their D line should be good. They will be a competent team, but I don't think they made the best use of their assets this summer. So they won't be the worst team in the league, I don't think, because I think their defense has a floor. But in terms of gauging their offseason and what they did with the opportunity they had, I don't think you can possibly feel good about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going deep for them.
Let's move over to another team in this division. Pittsburgh Steelers. What do we want to do with them? What do we want to do with Mr. Aaron Rodgers' new team?
How much did they pay Aaron Rodgers? $19 million. That was a trick question. Damn.
Not a ton of money for a quarterback, but, I think the money isn't the issue here. The question is, how much do you want to be in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes these days?
Yeah.
Because it is quite the roller coaster. Obviously, he is the worst personality in the NFL these days in terms of what he brings to a locker room. Does Aaron Rodgers have enough juice to you to make it to warrant this?
How do you gauge him at this age?
It depends what your goals are. Like the Steelers, the Steelers, they don't like to be bad. Right, like Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. He's gonna try and obviously keep that streak up. They're okay. So their line is at 8.5 this year, right? Their line is at 8.5. If they get the over, they'll have a winning season. However, I do not care about any of that. I'm giving them a D+ because all of that is Rodgers tax. I know you traded for DK Metcalf, and that's cool, right? Like that's very exciting, very intriguing. I just don't want to be in the Aaron Rodgers business because even before he signed, he was a quote unquote distraction, and I don't want to have.
He
that.
did sign in the most distracting way possible. The way he drug it out,
and I don't want to have that around my franchise.
I put C-. Okay.
I
think going from George Pickens to DK Metcalf is a very lateral move. I think. I also I feel like George Pickens has a higher ceiling of individual skill, but we understand the locker room issues that come with that and why they decided to move off of him. It wasn't entirely about skill.
Can you imagine him and Aaron Rodgers in the same locker room?
I don't know. I don't know if George Pickens can imagine that. But that's I guess you could say that's a lateral move, right? So that's fine. It's better for the locker room, a little bit less dynamic. They lost Dan Moore Jr. to the Titans, a left tackle who inconsistent, one of the highest pressure rates allowed in the NFL last year, but there's reason to believe he's still an upward trajectory. That's why he got paid a lot to go protect the blind side for Cam Ward. That's not great, I guess, but they'll probably let him walk for a reason. They're going to get a better comp pick than they drafted him with. They lose Najee Harris, and they replace him with Caleb Johnson. I think you could say, a rookie can be anything. We know Najee Harris is. He's a average to above average running back. Maybe Caleb will be a little bit better, have a little more juice. Who's to say, right? They draft Tom Sawyer in the 4th round, have some edge help. They draft Derek Harmon in round 1 to kind of be the heir apparent as their next interior defensive lineman. Don't have an issue with that. So I think if you feel down on the Rodgers thing, you don't love the distraction of it, you feel like the wide receiver move is lateral, you lose Dan Moore, you have some solid additions in the draft, that's a C. That's a nice regular offseason.
Okay.
D. I don't want Aaron Rodgers on my team. That's really all it comes down to. Like,
would you rather have Mason Rudolph? Like, look at the.
No, it's the best for what they could have done, but also it's him at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And so I'm just not super excited about the prospect of it.
I want to get a little bit more into the weeds when it comes to the DK Metcalf and the George Pickens conversation. You said it was a lateral move. I feel like it may be a little bit deeper than that. And I want to kind of extend this out into a few other teams here.
Okay.
Was this NFL move an upgrade or a downgrade?
Okay.
George Pickens turning into DK Metcalf.
I think it's an upgrade because on the very, very surface level, DK Metcalf can be a little more of a team player than George Pickens.
Less distractions. If you're adding Aaron Rodgers distractions, you got to remove the George Pickens. We got to have balance in the universe.
It's a yin and yang and a balance. DK Metcalf can do that.
Get me out of this movie, man.
I think in a perfect world, George Pickens might be a little bit better. But, there's hard to get a perfect world here. So I'm fine saying it's a slight upgrade.
Damn. You?
Upgrade.
Damn. Okay, that's tough. Geno Smith or Sam Darnold?
The biggest.
It's the biggest upgrade of the offseason.
Going from Geno to Sam Darnold?
No, from Sam to Geno.
No.
From Geno Smith to Sam Darnold.
Reverse that. The biggest downgrade of the offseason.
Yeah, this is a shout out Sam Darnold. Shout out the season he had with Kevin O'Connell. Shout out the season he had with Justin Jefferson. The season he had with Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison. With an elite defense with Hawkinson.
Goddamn.
I wish him the best. That offensive line had Geno Smith running for his life, and he has a unique ability to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I'm scared for what Sam Darnold has to do there. Downgrade.
It's gonna
Expectations are high. Russell Wilson to Aaron Gordon or Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Gordon, NBA brain.
Jeez, man, I gotta get out of me.
Upgrade.
Sure, slightly.
Yeah. Russ is very, very one-dimensional, where I think Rodgers has a little bit more juice left in his arm. Like, his arm talent is still, like, there on certain
He's
things.
also kind of like, I'm either going to throw the quick out route or throw a deep bomb. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a little bit of the same ilk of how Russ plays these days. But yeah, a little more arm talent. They both aren't running away from anybody anymore. No mobility. Mm-hmm. Slight upgrade.
You don't appreciate the stability and level-headedness that Russell Wilson provides?
Fuck no.
He's not
I don't care. I don't care at all.
Relax.
Cooper Kupp to Devontae Adams.
Upgrade.
It's a great upgrade.
Massive. Like, at this point, shout out Cooper Kupp year by year, every advanced metric, every separation metric, every single thing you can measure his abilities these times. Down.
He looks like a wide receiver on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
Damn.
And Devontae Adams, even though he's also on the wrong side of 30, doesn't matter.
Still the best route runner in the NFL.
Yeah. What is he? 31?
No, he's older than that.
Whew, man.
And I don't know how many years he has left. I think he has at least one. He still had the juice last year with Aaron Rodgers on that Jets team. It just didn't work out for a lot of other reasons. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like he's fallen off to the same degree Cooper Kupp has.
Okay. J.K. Dobbins to Amarion Hampton.
I pray to God it's an upgrade. If it's not an upgrade, we're cooked. If you spend a first round pick on a running back, that should better be an upgrade. I think shout out Dobbins, what he did last year, had some good gains, especially early in the year. By the end of the season, post-injury, you kind of saw that efficiency wasn't quite at the level you want. There's a reason they moved on.
Dobbins has plates and screws in his knees. And if Amarion Hampton can't beat that cyborg guy, if that's not an upgrade, I
this better be the clearest upgrade of the season.
Yeah. All right, I got a shot in the dark. From Will Levis to Cam Ward. It's a rookie.
I take it back. Amarion Hampton should not be the biggest upgrade of the season. Cam Ward should be the biggest upgrade of the season.
Damn, Will Levis was that bad?
If this is not the biggest upgrade of the season, we have problems.
Okay.
We are going to take you down the road of the memes that Will Levis provided for us every single week after he just made the most inexplicable play that you can ever imagine from a quarterback.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna lock y'all into that. From Aaron Rodgers to Justin Fields.
I don't know how to put this.
Okay, so they'll have a good running game. The impact of his legs on their running game should make people better. They'll have a good offensive line. They will be a ground and pound team. Justin Fields helps that. I think there's no world in which Justin Fields leaves I don't think he's gonna have a great passing season by any means. Maybe it's an upgrade just because Aaron Rodgers has less ceiling, but
I don't know.
I don't know though. I have very little faith in Justin Fields as a passer.
I watched those games before Russell Wilson came in as the starter. Those were not fun games by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They were not fun.
Bro, someone made a video with a YouTube title, Justin Fields still can't read, in parentheses. Our NFL defense is so embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't feel good about him being able to execute NFL level passing reads. I'm downgrade.
Okay, how do you feel when it comes to Gardner Minshew from Geno Smith?
Gardner Minshew to Geno Smith.
From Gardner Minshew to Geno Smith.
I mean, come on.
The upgrade can't be measured without using quantum mechanics.
It's like going from living on the street to having a mansion.
Wow.
That's the guy.
Geno Smith changed the Raiders' broke ass lives. He's gonna make them an entirely different team this year.
That's crazy. Okay.
He's gonna be a godsend.
All right. The broke ass life is crazy. All right, we can move on.
Okay, let's fly through the rest of this division. We're about to be an hour in going through two divisions.
Goddamn.
Crazy.
Are we cooked? Is this gonna be the longest episode ever?
Yap artists, man. Holy fuck.
Baltimore Ravens.
We'll speed up.
Baltimore Ravens. They lost right guard Patrick McCarry to the Jags. Lost cornerback Brandon Stevens to the Jets. Not losing sleep there. They signed DeAndre Hopkins. Signed Tre'Davious White. They draft Malachi Starks in round 1. They draft Mike Green in round 2. Overall, I put B+.
I said B++.
Yeah, close to A.
It's very close. The only thing is, like, every single year, you just want to see the Ravens go out and get like an actual.
Oh, and actually, I take it back.
Go ahead.
Since I wrote these notes, they also signed Jair Alexander. I'm now going A. This is an A offseason.
I'll stay B++.
Wait, why does Jair Alexander make that an A? That's tremendous.
Jair Alexander still has lots of talent. He cannot stay healthy.
Yeah.
Adding him and adding Malachi Starks in round 1. Malachi Starks is the most versatile safety in the draft, the best safety in the draft. They already have Kyle Hamilton. They should have the best safety duo in the NFL if Malachi Starks is who we thought he should be. And if Jair Alexander can give them 10 games, limited snap count, 10 games, stay healthy, and you still have Marlon Humphrey and you still have Wiggins, they should have potentially the best cornerback room in the NFL. It's them or the Broncos.
Okay.
If you have the best safety duo in the NFL potentially and one of the top 3 cornerback rooms, and if Mike Green, the second round pick, who would have been a first round pick if he didn't have some nasty man allegations, if he can give you something, this very well could be a top 3 defense in the NFL. We know they can be a top 3 offense in the NFL. On paper, this team should win the Super Bowl because of what they did on the defensive end.
Ceiling sounds dumb high. All right.
The floor is dumb high. The ceiling's dumb high. The floor is conference championship. Hopefully, the ceiling is can you beat Patrick Mahomes and beat Josh Allen?
Yeah. So, all right, you sway me. We'll go A.
That's an A.
Okay. We'll go A.
Again, they are on paper warriors. Everyone knows they have the stigma of never being able to get it done. I don't know if they'll get it done this year, but if they were ever going to have a chance, this would be the year. This is probably the best roster in the NFL now.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. You convinced me.
Yeah, it has to be an A. I mean, I hope they get it done. I hope this is their year. I don't know if it's their year, though. But I really hope so. No. The last team in this division, we got the Bengals. They extended both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They haven't signed Trey Hendrickson yet. That is a ongoing holdout. And they also have an ongoing holdout with their first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, who they are trying to fuck over in a hilarious way by inserting verbiage into his contract that they've never done with the first-round pick in their franchise's history. And Shamar Stewart is saying, I'm not the one. You're not going to start trying to fuck over your draft picks via me. I'm not an experiment. And I want to say F just because I hate everything the Bengals stand for.
Really?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Their process, they operate as 2 things.
Yeah.
1, like their process is dumb.
Okay.
And 2, they operate as brokies.
Okay.
Yes.
And so like
not only do they operate as brokies, they are brokies. Their owner is not to the level of wealth that you need to run a sports organization these days. It's a real genie bus type of opportunity.
He has to like, if you know that like you're gonna have to pay Joe Burrow in like 5 years, he's putting that Joe Burrow contract on layaway.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, like they just don't have the capital to be out here spending willy nilly. But the same thing that we said with the Michael Parsons contract, you could have been signed Jamar Chase years ago. Yeah, you didn't want to do it. You could have been signed T. Higgins. You didn't want to do it. Trey Hendrickson, your entire defense last year, trash. Trey Hendrickson was the bright spot on that team, and now you don't want to bring him back. You tried to sign another edge rusher, like you said, in Shamar Stewart. Everybody else, your first round pick, that contract gets done immediately because it's like we took you with our first round pick. Yeah, just get in the building, get to OTAs, and we are in June, about to get to July. And he's still not there.
Yeah, and they didn't get... So F typically would mean you got worse as a team. They didn't get worse. They probably stayed exactly who they were. Their secondary is still going to suck. Their defensive line is still going to be Trey Hendrickson or bust. Unless
how's their offensive line?
Their offensive line is fine.
Okay.
Their weapons are elite. They kept them very expensively to a way that limited their ability to pay Hendrickson. So, they will be the team they probably were. If they hit on some draft picks that are unforeseen, if Dylan Fairchild can start for them and really... amplify their offensive line, they can get better. If Demetrius Knight is a hidden gem at linebacker, they can get better. It's possible. But I hate the principle of how they operate so much. I'm giving them an F out of pure emotion.
That's fucking crazy, man.
They're trash. They're trash.
They're the worst.
Okay.
And that's the end of this division. Let's move on to the AFC South. Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, the biggest highlight of this team's offseason is the acquisition of Travis Hunter, trading up to number 2 overall. You gave up a monstrous amount of picks to go get him. It makes sense if you think Travis Hunter is truly going to be the 2-way star that he was in college, that people think he can be. If he's going to play both sides of the ball, you basically give up draft assets for 2 players in 1. Yeah. So that can work, right? It's obviously flashy. We like that. The bigger story that is overlooked because of this, they hired Liam Cohen to be their head coach, the offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay, that replaced Dave Canales after he got hired to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And the question was, are they going to be able to maintain this offensive efficiency they had under Canales after you lost him, when people kind of thought he was a Baker whisperer that really revived his career? Liam Cohen came in and did everything better than Canales ever did. He was a fantastic offensive coordinator. Yeah. The run game was so much better, so much more versatile than Canales has ever had. He is a real offensive mind, I think. TBD, if that translates to being a head coach. That's always a question mark for these young offensive coordinators. but you have a real offensive mind here to hopefully save Trevor Lawrence and his not disappointing career, I think is a fair phrasing. He's not hopeless, but disappointing. You have that. Now you might have one of the best offensive weapons duos in the NFL at this age between Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. You also get Tutton in the 4th round to get him a running back. You lose Evan Ingram, but you sign De'Ami Brown to round out the wide receiver room and replace Christian Kirk. You sign Patrick McCarry from the Ravens. Basically what I'm saying is you give a lot of opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to really prove it this year.
God damn. I've been waiting for him to do something over the last few years.
Everybody has.
As a casual, bro.
To me, all that matters to this organization is Trevor Lawrence the guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year. You're trying to find forward momentum and show that you have your quarterback, and you gave him all the opportunity in the world. That to me is an A.
Okay.
I'm going to be nice.
Okay.
I think that for all the offensive reasons that you said, cool. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, which is in part, which is why, that's what I'm saying. That's why you go get Travis Hunter. Mm-hmm. They had according to DVOA metrics, which basically it measures efficiency based on like opponent and situation and stuff like that.
Okay.
They had the 2nd worst overall defensive DVOA and the worst passing DVOA in the league. They're Swiss cheese. And so if you can get elite Travis Hunter, that's cool. I think a lot of their like, I'm going to give them a B-, really kind of like an incomplete because it all depends on how good is Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
If he comes out and he is all pro, he plays both sides of the ball and he's great, or if he just plays one side of the ball and it's fine, cool. You made a good move. If not, then you overpaid for a guy in Travis Hunter.
You give a lot. There's a lot riding. Like to give up your 1st-round pick for the next year, like there's a lot riding on that. Yeah. We can go in between things. I feel pretty strongly about A just because I think I'm not expecting Rome to be built in a day. I'm not expecting them to be a good defense. And I think how can you not love the infrastructure in place now for Trevor Lawrence? That to me is warranting an A. But if you think the defensive side holds you back, we'll put him right in the middle. We'll go this like B+ range.
Okay.
That's okay.
But man, I am excited. I truly believe what Liam Cohen did last year, that he is one of the better play callers in the NFL. And there's almost like obviously quarterback is the most important part of your team. Everything flows through him. You need to find your guy. Second most important thing, debatably, play callers. And to have an elite play caller is like such a lifeline for a young quarterback. Like it makes a gigantic difference, all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
To have that plus potentially a top flight wide receiver duo, I am moved.
Fair.
Okay.
From an offseason perspective, not from a winning division perspective.
Yeah.
You just want to see growth. You just want to see growth at the end of the day. And over the last few years, it seems like they've been pitiful.
Exactly. And just putting guys in position. So I'm okay with that.
Speaking of lack of growth,
oh my
Colts.
God.
What are we rating the Colts? They lose right guard Will Fries in free agency. Mm-hmm. They lose edge Adeyingbo. I probably pronounced that horribly wrong. They lost center Ryan Kelly, who's obviously on the back end of his prime, to put it nicely. And they draft Tyler Warren in the 1st round. They signed Trevarius Ward from the 49ers. They signed safety Cam Bynum from the Vikings. They signed Daniel Jones from the Vikings, who might be their starting quarterback this year. I think they're kind of the same team they were last year.
I'm going C+.
I also put C.
Yeah, I think like you addressed, they needed a tight end. Yeah, and they went out and got one. They needed help in the secondary. They got that. And your quarterback is either not going to be there next year, or if he is going to play this year, I have very, very little hope that he's going to make it throughout 17 games. Health-wise, yeah. Well, even let's just being benched, like that might.
There's
that might
multiple question marks around Anthony Richardson, and I think their offseason is stagnant. See, like you said, they're a team that their offseason does not define this next year. It's purely what happens on the field for Anthony Richardson, like you said. Yeah. Their infrastructure is not bad. They have what is probably the biggest sleeping giant wide receiver room in the NFL, just because they haven't had the quarterback play to let it shine. You know, every NFL nerd will tell you Adonai Mitchell is waiting to get a quarterback that can get him the ball. Elite route runner. Everybody loves Josh Downs, fantasy football darling. Tyler Warren is one of the most unique players in the draft in a long time. Just do it all. Like everyone calls him Taysom Hill on steroids type guy. If you can find the right quarterback and the right play calling system to get the most of that, they have a lot of talent on that ball. I didn't even mention one of the best running backs in the NFL, and Jonathan Taylor, and a perfectly fine offensive line, I think. If we can figure out the quarterback situation, we can change the outlook of this team. But it's such a question mark.
It's not looking good, bro.
If they had a stable quarterback situation, in my mind, how do they net out against their division specifically?
If Anthony Richardson was like a solid quarterback, they could contend for their division.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Like if he was a top 18 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
They could go on. They could win the AFC South. Because even though that the Texans won it last year, and they've won it for the last 2 years, they were not inspiring last season. And we could talk about them next. Like, their offseason is, you want to talk about giving fans hope. They did, honestly, the complete opposite. I'm giving the Texans an F for their
F? Okay, I wrote C. Tell me why it's F. The F feels extreme.
I think outside of Caleb Williams, nobody was sacked more than CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
And I think that going and trading away Tunsil is interesting.
That's a good debate.
Reworking the offensive line, it's okay if you're bringing in new guys. I'm not sure if the talent is still going to net out to where it's going to be an overall upgrade. F is I'm giving F because the hope is very, very low. I do think that they did make a good decision firing Bobby Slowick, bringing in a new OC, because a lot of their problems last year could be linked back to their play calling, to Slowick, and him, putting them in less than optimal situations.
2 eye safeties give him hell.
But I'm not moved. I'm not.
Isn't it crazy?
I'm not excited.
Isn't it crazy how many offensive coordinators are once thought to be really good just got put in a body bag this year off this 2 high safety shit? Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. And obviously,
2 years ago when CJ Stroud, came when he was
in his rookie year, yeah.
And Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson were the 2 guys who they were like, oh, they're for sure gonna get jobs, and then they both stayed in Detroit and Houston respectively. He should have left. He should have got that money when he could.
I'll go D. I think I understand getting rid of Laramie Tunsil at his age, at the inflection point you're at with this locker room, and the lack of culture fit. We'll say that. The fact that he was one of the more penalized offensive linemen in the league. He is their best lineman, but did contribute to their issues in some regards. I think it's not crazy to move off him. It's crazy, on the other hand, to have the worst offensive line in the conference when you have CJ Stroud. So, like, both things are true. Value-wise, it makes sense to get that asset and try to play the long game. But you can't play the long game in the NFL. Every year you have to win or your job's on the line, especially when you have a quarterback like CJ Stroud you need to protect. So both things are true. So not a good move overall. I like the wide receivers they drafted. I like the combination of getting Higgins and Noel and keeping them together. If Ursary can be a starting tackle for them one day in round 2, that's obviously a step in the right direction. I don't hate their draft as much as I obviously am not a fan of the Laramie Tunsil thing. Yeah. I like some elements of what they did. So I feel like C- is fair.
Yeah.
But the simple fact you're going into the season with that terrible defensive line, I think D's fine.
Side question. When it comes to their wide receiver room, do you think they're going to miss Stephon Diggs at all?
No.
Well,
yes and no.
Yeah.
I think like adding the guys that they did was very, very necessary, because there was a point last year where just all of their receivers got hurt. And so just to be able to come back, and even now, like Tank Dell is still, out. So to be able to add those guys and have some depth behind Nico Collins, and especially if Nico is there for a majority of the year, then no, I don't think they're going to miss Stephon Diggs. But Stephon was a good player last year. So to ask these...
They signed Christian Kirk to basically replace Stephon Diggs in the short term as a veteran.
Like, all right.
The most replacement level wide receiver in the NFL, I think.
Cool.
At best. And
very much so.
I like Jaden Higgins. I think a lot of people probably have the wrong idea of who Jaden Higgins is as a prospect. People see this big body and think he's this like go win a go ball X wide receiver. He's not. He's like a big slot. I like that compliment playing off of Nico, who is that go ball X receiver, one of the best receivers in the NFL. I like having a big slot next to him.
It's like you're telling me all this, and I'm like, how can you even like have any type of be super optimistic about this team when they don't have that baseline level of offensive linemen?
Yeah. Like the weapons are good enough, but the protection is just like it all falls apart. And again, new offensive coordinator. A lot of times when you have a unit like a line that underperforms, you bring in a new OC, you bring in a new offensive line coach. They can get the most out of these guys and shock you. So if you tell me there's a world in which they have the 19th best offensive line in the NFL, and they have the 14th best EPA per dropback in the NFL, I think then maybe this is just changes because their defense is going to be absolutely dominant like it has been. You just got to show me. And I don't feel like they showed me that I should be optimistic.
Okay.
But again, I'm very open to being wrong about the Texans. Like they could if that switches and they have competent protection, I'm a big fan of the revamped offensive
D
weapons.
could turn into B is what it sounds like.
Yeah, very quickly because that defense is obviously like highest floor possible with that.
Okay.
Staying in the division, Titans.
B+. I think this is one of the more straightforward things on this list. You drafted a quarterback first overall, and you got the best quarterback prospect in the draft. Everything else depends on that. You were able to do that. You made a couple changes on the offensive line, right? Got him a little bit of protection. That's enough for me.
You got him a lot of protection. You got Kevin Zeitler from the Lions, who's old, but
Can do stuff.
Just below elite at this advanced age. At one point was one of the best guards in the NFL. That's obviously a great move. You win the Dan Moore sweepstakes, which was an actual bidding war for a guy who, again, like we mentioned with the Steelers, isn't great, but a lot of people feel will continue to develop and get good. If that is going to be your franchise tackle, that's a good place to start. Getting two great, or I don't want to say great, getting two good offensive linemen when you get your quarterback, nice. Tyler Lockett, I feel like still has something to give as a complementary wide receiver. That helps. He's not going to be Tyler Lockett of old.
That's what it is.
Sure. But Calvin Ridley is, I think, underrated still. Having Lockett as a complementary guy in that room moves me a little bit. I especially if you lost Westbrook Akine. I'm glad you got somebody there, a body there.
Yeah.
You get your quarterback, you give him a little bit to work with. That's a B.
B+ for me. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
And shout out. Let's move over to a similar situation with another young quarterback, but this was last year. Let's go to the AFC East. What are we giving the New England Patriots? The consensus winners of the draft.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my, when it comes to rebuilds that I've been paying attention to since my new era, this is one of my favorite teams to watch, and when it comes to how they're operating.
Yeah, and that's why the consensus is that they won the draft and that they won the offseason. I am part of the consensus. They get an A+.
A+, yeah.
A+. This is
easily.
It's great. To go from Gerard Mayo to Mike Vrabel, once again, it's like going from living on the street to a mansion.
Damn.
You are making one of the biggest changes in coaching and one of the biggest upgrades in that sense. To go get that, to go get Stephon Diggs, and they are finally starting to set up Drake May to be a actual franchise quarterback. We're not talking about winning.
Do you feel like he's ever had that opportunity with the Patriots?
No, last year's first year.
Yeah, he was a rookie last year. And
he got hurt, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
But they were one of the worst teams in the league. They had the 6th worst success rate in the league. They had the worst EPA per play in terms of.
They're a disaster.
It was awful.
They're a disaster. Damn. And listen, you have the best draft haul in the NFL. That feels like that's a consensus. You get your hopefully left tackle of the future. TBD, those tiny T-Rex arms make it so he can't play left tackle.
Doesn't matter. He's corn-fed and he's willing to die.
He's willing to catch a grenade for your quarterback. He will catch a rocket-propelled grenade system. Shoot a bazooka at him, he'll catch it, he'll throw it back to the quarterback. And I love it. Second round, you get the best pass-protecting running back in the draft. Everyone talks about it. Trayvon Henderson is a legitimate weapon. Kyle Williams, another steal of the draft. You go up and down. You might get a starting center in the third round, Jared Wilson, who is a ridiculously athletic offensive lineman. If you get the best draft haul in the NFL to complement your quarterback, and that's in a consensus opinion, and you also blow bags in free agency and get hella veterans, you get the untapped upside of Milton Williams in free agency. Stephon Diggs hopefully can come in and give you stability, veteran leadership. Hopefully he can be a positive impact.
Yep.
Mac Hollins, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane. They just got a lot of competent players coming off a season where they had the most holes in the NFL by far. I don't know how you can give it anything other than an A.
This sounds like top A.
It's A+. It's A+.
It's the best offseason, pretty much. Pretty easily.
They won 4 games last year. The over-under this year is at 7.5, which could be seen as kind of rich. But don't hate it.
No.
I don't hate it, because that, if you could go over and still be under 500, I like the line. I early feel for the Patriots. I feel like it's like a good line. I think I would take the over, but they're going in the right direction, and I do like it for them.
Okay.
Buffalo Bills signed Joey Bosa, the least available good edge rusher in the NFL.
Yeah.
But obviously has a ceiling. If you can get him healthy for the playoff run, he could change some games if he can be there in the playoffs. They signed Josh Palmer to a $13 million a year deal, I think, if I remember correctly, for average wide receiver 2.
They said, go over there. Go over there.
So they signed 2 Chargers. They extend a bunch of their guys. That's kind of the headline. And they let a bunch of their olds walk. Amari Cooper gone. Von Miller gone. Rasul Douglas gone. They signed Elijah Moore. They signed Tre'Davious White back. We'll see if he can play more than 4 games for them this year, but that could be interesting. In the first round, they draft cornerback Maxwell Hairston, who should hopefully be a starting cornerback for them. They signed draft DT TJ Sanders in round 2, edge Landon Jackson in round 3, DT Deion Walker in round 4, cornerback Jordan Hancock in round 5. I said the positions to say straight defenders.
Yeah.
This offseason was We saw the end of last season. We saw the playoffs. We ran out of juice defensively. A lot of talk about the wide receiver room, the weapons. Is it enough? Clearly, it's not actually the most important part of this team. They need more defensive talent, and they put every resource they had into it.
And that's why I'm giving them an A.
I put B+, but you can sell me on A.
I'm going A because I think Sean McDermott has also shown the ability to be able to coach up these Bills defenses. Like there's been years where the talent hasn't been there. Like they've had so many injuries on their defense, and somehow it always nets out to like, oh, the Bills are still like a pretty solid defense. Just adding enough talent on there to where Sean McDermott has pieces to work with, I'm cool. And then Josh Allen. Anytime that you have Josh Allen on your team, especially like in his prime,
God damn. What's up with you?
It's ridiculous.
What the hell?
Turn it off.
Please.
There we go.
Yeah. Anytime that you have Josh Allen, your offense is going to be one of the 5 best in the league. It's fine. So just having continuity there, I'm cool with it. A.
Yeah. And it really, to me, it comes down to how good Maxwell Harrison can be as a rookie. Mm-hmm. If he can really like translate those ball skills, can come in, he can be a legitimately impactful, hopefully cornerback 1 for them right away. That will be like that's a game changer for what they need defensively.
Yeah.
Dolphins, other end of the spectrum. How do you feel about them?
It sounds like your stomach is squealing. Why?
They lost safety Javon Holland to the Giants. They lost right guard Robert Jones. They lost DT Calais Campbell, and they lost, most importantly, left tackle Teron Armstead to retirement. This is a team last year whose entire offense fell apart because one, Tua got hurt, and their quarterback play was not even like from this planet. It was so poor. They played players at quarterback that probably will never take another snap in the NFL ever again. It was bad.
Okay.
And on top of that, their offensive line was trash.
So what did they do to help replenish their quarterback system or issue?
They gave a second chance to you know who?
Not Zach.
Zach.
Damn.
They gave him a second chance, which honestly, if that's your best quarterback, that's probably fine. But I give them a D-.
I'm cool with that.
Because
I'm so cool with that.
Their biggest issue was obviously the quarterback play. Their offensive line got turned to smithereens. It completely fell apart. It was held together by glue. The run game was non-existent. Everybody knows, it's been talked about at length. The new adjustment to these complex, too high safety looks completely took away their deep game with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And they had to, if defenses are going to do that and they're going to have both safeties back, you got to be able to pound that fucking rock and make them place bigger boxes. And their run blocking was so abysmal. Dude, Devon Achane was getting hit behind the line so many times. His average yards before contact was one of the worst in the NFL. He stood no chance. This team became a short game merchant. Jonnu Smith was like their leading pass catcher for a lot of games.
He was hooping.
Because they had to throw a million tight end screens and drags to him and Achane, and that was the only form of offense they could have because they couldn't throw deep. They couldn't run the ball. And I say also say the offensive line was an issue. Their only good offensive lineman retired.
I'm not going to lie. This sounds like you want to give them an F.
I gave them a D- because I think Kenneth Grant in round 1 is a good player. And while I'm saying their offensive line is abysmal and I wish they would have addressed that in the draft better, their defensive line is also not good. So they also need to address that. Can't be mad at that pick. Honestly, it could be F. I didn't say F just because I felt like that was a little too much hate, but you can convince me to say F.
Donovan, how do you feel about these moves?
It's not great.
And they signed Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to be a wide receiver 3, which is nice.
It's not great. I think their offense is so specific because of their quarterback, because Tua is he literally is a system QB, right? And he does a lot for that system, but also thrives immensely from that system. And so if you are not on time, if he is not protected, he obviously has injury concerns all the time. Your number one concern is keeping him straight up. If you don't really invest in that and you don't really make that a priority, that's not great.
It's like a house with no doors. Anybody can come in that bitch.
No foundation. It's no foundation. Like it crumbles.
Yeah.
And now they did address the interior offensive line. They signed right guard James Daniels from the Steelers, who is probably going to be better than what they had before. And they drafted Jonah Savanea in the second round. So, if you're a second round pick, you're expected to be able to start. So if they get 2 starting guards, that's better than nothing. But the Teron Armstead size hole on this roster is massive. I feel like this is one of the more debilitating holes that any roster has when you just think about the type of offense they play, how reliant they are on speed and stretching defenses out. And like we saw last year, if you can't run the ball to combat people playing cover 4 and taking away your deep shots, you're not going to be able to be dynamic. And if this team isn't going to be a top flight offense, they're not doing anything of relevance.
Damn, this sounds so depressing for
it is
Dolphins fans.
It
to be
is.
honest,
It's very
sounds
depressing.
like a serious ceiling.
I don't think any Dolphins fans disagree with me either. I don't like
Yeah.
obviously everybody defends their team, especially in the NFL. I don't think Dolphins fans feel that great.
They shouldn't. It's D.
Okay, we'll go D.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're not going F, but we'll just go D.
That's what I was asking. That's what I was saying. It sounds like F because you told me you listed a slew of issues that they have, and yes, like they did some nice things in the second round draft.
You know what?
Nice.
It sounds like an F. That's all I'm saying. With
The
what
other
they're
biggest problem on
telling
this
me.
roster is they just have no good cheap players. They did all these big splashy trades over the years to trade for stars, and they obviously sent out a lot of draft picks, and they don't have a lot of intermediate players to make up for that. It's all stars or bums on this roster.
That's crazy.
And they only had 2 picks in the first 4 rounds this year. So that's not really going to get fixed unless they hit some 5th round picks. I'm fine with F.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I hate them, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Not to say like I just found out about the new team that I'm going to hate on in the NFL. Maybe. Stay
And I
tuned.
say this because I have Devon Achane and I have Jalen Waddle
Oh my
in our
God.
Dynasty Fantasy League, and I don't feel good about their outlook this season. So I have a lot of hate in my heart right now.
Okay.
New York Jets.
A+.
A plus?
Wow,
A+,
you said
A+
that
for
so
the
quick.
Jets.
With
What the hell? Tell me why.
I think I think you got rid of Aaron Rodgers.
Damn.
And I think that you brought in Aaron Glenn and his staff and people who seem to be actual adults and professionals. And for that reason alone, I'm good. I'm okay with that.
Justin Fields is your quarterback. You're going to tell me A plus?
Yeah.
Like that's their guy
Like that's...
to lead their
Yes,
organization.
because you know Justin Fields is not the quarterback of the future. Do I think that this team is going to be good? No, but do I think that they are taking a step in the right direction?
Yeah.
And something that they did 2 years ago, which is yes, let's go all in for Aaron Rodgers and make these splashy moves and stuff like that. No, I think that bringing in Aaron Glenn and understanding we have to rebuild this from the start is a solid move. And so I like the direction and all of the messaging that's coming from the Jets right now. And so that is why I'm giving them an A+.
I think
That
this
sounds
is
charity a
essentially a
little bit.
teardown to the studs. They
But-
let a lot of
okay.
players walk in free agency, a lot of their veterans. They let DJ Reed go. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Javon Kinlaw, Hassan Reddick, Solomon Thomas, Tyler Conklin. They let a lot of guys go because they're rebuilding, like you said, around Aaron Glenn. And I'm glad they're resetting. I don't feel like this was a runaway value to get them. Like, look at the teams in A+. These teams are like, you put yourself in a massively new, advantageous spot. And this is neutral. It could be good. I like the Armand Membu pick. Incredibly athletic offensive tackle. They might have a top 5 O-line in the NFL, which is a good place to start. Shout out Mason Taylor in the 2nd round. And get replacing Tyler Conklin with somebody with way more juice. Again, good moves were made, but it's so far from like a home run to me.
You have to treat the Jets like
Oh my god.
Giddy gloves.
like the Kings, right? They always.
This sounds like charity, like Make-A-Wish,
It
dare I
is.
say.
It is. They are like there is a Jets tax. They always move in a very stupid way, in a very stupid manner. And the fact that they are actually doing something, we're like, oh wait.
Have you seen Aaron Glenn's interviews?
You're doing the right thing. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
He's doing this like I'm not gonna say it's an act. I think this might just be him. He might just be like the ultimate football guy coach. Not good with the media right now. It is so funny.
What did he say?
Just gives no answers. Just gives
Oh, wow.
gives them nothing and is very dismissive and like it's pissing like the local Jets media off. You know how local media is covering NFL
Yeah.
teams. They're like, I just don't know if he has it. I don't like the way he speaks in this. I want to like all these radio hosts overanalyzing it. They're having a hard time with the beginning of this Aaron Glenn era.
Well, it is what it is.
I say it to say I don't give a fuck about that, but
It sounds Greg Popovich-esque.
kind of where Greg Popovich has a cachet, and I
Yeah.
do think Aaron Glenn is a complete open note. Like this could be anything. The book is out completely. We do not know how he'll be as a head coach. How could you know, right? This isn't like a Ben Johnson hiring where it's like we know he will run the offense. This will translate. They will be excellent on this side of the ball. That gives us some kind of floor. I feel like Aaron Glenn could be anything. I'm not going to give them like
His
an
grade.
A. I'm not giving him an A+ because he could be anything. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I like what they've done.
If you like it, we'll go B because I put C at first.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to say you sound.
I view them as a
serious.
blank slate.
I
If you
really
like
like
it that
what
much,
they've
we'll
done.
go B. But yeah.
All right,
that's-
cool. We're done with the AFC East. Love it.
AFC West, Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, I have lots of thoughts as a Chargers fan. What are your thoughts, Donovan?
I think just fine. Just fine.
Really?
Like, it's like it could be better,
Mhm.
right? So I'm giving them a C.
Oh hell nah.
Wow. A C is crazy.
I'm I'm not an optimistic guy with my fandoms, my teams,
Yeah.
especially with the Chargers. Being an optimistic Chargers fan is like just being an idiot. Like, there's no reason to be optimistic ever. This team is doomed. This team knows nothing but pain and despair. I have nothing good has come from being a football fan in my lifetime. I feel pretty good about this offseason.
How do you feel
between
about the draft? I guess that's where it starts.
So to me, the draft is an A. If I was agreeing the draft alone, free agency, C-D. But I think the draft they've shown. Okay, so this team came into the offseason with $80 million in cap space and was assumed to be big buyers. They're going to put this money in year 2 with this coaching regime. They're going to try to, step it up. They did exactly none of that. They did not blow bags at all. They signed Najee Harris. They signed Mike Williams. They signed Andre James. They signed Dante Jackson. And Mekhi Becton was their big acquisition. So Mekhi Becton, good addition. Their offensive interior line needed help. That was good. Outside of that, a lot of replacement level guys, and they save their money because there's something they love in the market. They clearly have the MO to build through the draft. And to me, the draft class is fantastic. They essentially just said, we're not going to let Justin Herbert die again.
Yeah.
We got to the playoffs last year. We faced a real elite defense that was real playoff caliber players. And we were built with sticks on the offensive line. It fell apart. We got sunned, destroyed. Justin Herbert got left to die because he had no weapons outside of the guy named Lad McConkey. This draft was dedicated to giving him weapons. They drafted Marion Hampton round 1. They draft Trey Harris round 2 to hopefully be their deep threat wide receiver 2 of the future. They draft Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle round 3, Kyle Kennard, edge round 4. In the 5th round draft, what might be a draft steal, Aronde Gradson II, a wide receiver turned tight end. They said, we're not going to leave this draft without you having guys that can catch the ball and run fast. That is a unequivocal success to me. I'll go B+. The only reason I'm not thinking A is because I think losing Poona Ford at DT really hurts. They ended up drafting Jamari Caldwell in the 3rd round to try to replace him. They did not expect to lose Poona Ford. They lost him to the Rams, and I think they were very surprised by them not having a chance to match that payment. So that is a gigantic loss to me. I still have big concerns about their just top-end defensive talent and if they can really succeed in the playoffs because they get good defensive, their EPA is real good. They were actually first for a lot of the season in points allowed because Jesse Minter is a goddamn genius who gets a lot out of little talent. I'm concerned in the high-end defensive talent, so I'm not going to say they're going to be great.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of practice and fixing your biggest woes offensively, that's at least a B+ to me.
Okay. I don't. The reason why I said C is don't love the fact that we're in 2025 and we're running back Mike Williams as your starting wide receiver 2. It could be better, right? You're putting hope into Trey Harris that he can take that spot.
That's the answer.
So okay, fine. The defense is kind of where it's at for me. Where for all the reasons that you said, it's can we get a legitimate pass rush? Can we get off the field on 3rd down? And I still don't feel great about that going into this year, and so that's why for me it's not overwhelming. For the draft reason, I love Marion Hampton. I think that is fantastic. And so, and to have Najee Harris as your running back 2, awesome.
Yeah.
Right? It's perfectly serviceable back. Mekhi Becton as a run blocker. Cool, right? We like that. It's just the defensive side of it kind of weighs it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think their defense is better on paper so far compared to last year?
Well, they lost Joey Bosa, which he's never fucking available. But when he was there, he's really good. So their defense isn't worse, but it's not better. And again, if you're in the NFL and you're not getting better, you're getting worse because everybody's catching up to you. And to me, so on paper, it's not better, but they have some swing factors. They have obviously lost Poona Ford, who was a great run defender, really did a lot for them in that. They still have Tart, who is a young defensive lineman that's taking leaps. He could step into a bigger role, be a full-time starter. If Jamari Caldwell, he's a gigantic nose tackle. If he can be a 60% of your snaps, 100% of your snaps on early downs, fill those gaps and do 80% of what Poona Ford did, that's fine. The real swing factor to me is the edge they drafted in round 4, Kyle Kennard. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He just fell in the draft because he doesn't have the best measurables, essentially, I think. He's not the biggest guy, not the quickest guy, but highly productive in college. If he can be a really impactful edge rusher for them, then this defense can maintain their top 5 defense in the NFL level because they still have Khalil Mack, who's still amazing. They have Thule, who's going to be their new full-time starter on the edge. They need one more guy, and that's the swing factor to me that maybe they have a chance of being once again elite.
Once again.
All right, so where do you want to go?
B. Go B. Yeah, we'll bounce and go B.
All right.
Okay.
I feel good. At least Justin Herbert has hope to have pass catchers.
Okay. I like that you mentioned Justin Herbert. I have one more segment for you guys.
Okay.
There's been so many, as a casual fan, I've been seeing disgusting conversations about him. Call him if man, apparently.
Yep.
Through all situations, scenarios, if this, if that. I want to know, would you rather have Justin Herbert or this NFL QB?
Okay. I'm about to get pissed off right now.
Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray?
Justin Herbert, and it's not close.
Yeah,
It's not
Does
close.
Kyler Murray he don't even have the upside to like surpass him?
No, we're not gonna talk about this. That's level 1, right? Of this.
Yeah, that's level 1.
Yeah. There's a reason it's level 1.
Okay.
Justin Herbert.
We're not doing that.
Level 2, Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott is essentially a poor man's Justin Herbert. They have a lot of the similar strengths. Justin Herbert is if Dak Prescott didn't have those 5 plays a game where he turns his brain off.
Damn.
So I'm going Justin Herbert pretty easily.
It's numbskull.
Yeah, same here.
If Dak Prescott made great
Yeah.
decisions and didn't just like torpedo certain possessions, he would be Justin Herbert.
Speaking of great decisions, level 3, Jalen Hurts.
Not a conversation.
Ooh.
Shout out Jalen Hurts. Played at his best when it mattered the most. If you gauge every single NFL team in every single circumstance, 99% of them you're going to rather have Justin Herbert.
I'll let him have that.
Wait, why are you going to let him have it like that? What do you mean?
Because I have a Super Bowl ring.
You don't have
It's okay.
All right.
He can believe what he wants to.
You're a good man.
It's
You
okay.
give back to the poor. I
We can
appreciate it.
listen. We can prop up Jalen Hurts this summer.
Yeah.
We can push him up tiers that we wouldn't be in another year. Top 5 or 6 combos is not. We're doing a little much.
Okay.
But you want to put him in top 10 combos? I won't yell at you.
Level 4, Joe Burrow.
I'm taking Joe Burrow.
Ooh.
This
You
is
said that really fast.
I think
I've thought about it a lot, so
Yeah.
like I have my answer. But yeah, I'm taking Joe Burrow.
this is the point where I think they're equally as good as each other.
Yeah.
This is the point where they're so close that I'm fine going Joe Burrow. If you want to give the credit to the guy who's done it in the playoffs, that hasn't had the meltdowns, that can carry more of a weight on the shoulders, I'm fine going Burrow for those intangible reasons.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of talent, they're like almost even.
Yeah, this feels like a swinging pendulum. Everyone feels so entirely differently based off of whatever's going around whatever's going around their entire team.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. The difference in their realistically, the difference is the team context they each have.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow is part of why that context is so good too. He's not like a merchant of his wide receivers, so I'm fine giving him that tiebreaker.
Damn, and he loses. All right. I was just curious to see how much.
Listen, we got to the last round. It's fine.
Okay. We can move on.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. Let's go B for them.
I wrote B+.
Yeah, I think like obviously the Super Bowl just exposed for lack of a better word, maybe even the right word, but they could not protect Patrick Mahomes. And throughout the entire year, they had problems. They had problems with protection and they had problems running the ball specifically. And it's tough whenever you trade Joe Tooney and you get like one of your best offensive linemen out of there. But you had to do it so that you can keep Trey Smith, the younger offensive lineman who's really good. You have to keep him around. You made several draft picks to replenish your offensive line depth. That in itself shows me you also saw what happened in the Super Bowl. You know what you need to work on. You are investing in it, and that is okay.
Yeah. The restructuring of the offensive line is the entire story of this group. Like, you need to have a good mix of expensive and cheap offensive linemen to be able to put teams together, especially when you have a top-end quarterback. You lose Joe Tooney to pay Trey Smith. Had to sip some water. Had to scratch my throat. And you draft Josh Simmons at the end of round 1, who is like, honestly, maybe the single biggest swing factor in the NFL next year. He was graded out before the last call of the season as potentially being the top tackle in the draft. Then he had a serious injury. If he never got hurt, he would have went top 5 in the draft pretty safely. And they got him at pick 32. If he can stay healthy.
Bargain.
Now, they got him there because the medicals are a little concerning to some teams. If he can stay healthy and he can be a starting caliber tackle, God forbid an elite tackle, and they can go back to having a top flight offensive line, that is the type of thing that can change the outlook of their offense in the coming years. And on the other side of the trenches, they spent their 2nd and 3rd round pick on defensive linemen, which is obviously something they need to continue to replenish as Chris Jones gets old as fuck and decides not to run block in the regular season just to save his energy. More power to him. He's earned that right. They got to fortify those trenches. They did. Replaced Deshaun Wharton with Omar Norman-Lott in the 2nd round. I just feel like it's overall, like they're at the peak. Obviously, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. You got to get better in small ways. And I think the offensive line will be better next year than it was this year.
Yeah, this is how the Chiefs are going to operate basically for probably like the rest of Mahomes' career. Yeah. Where you're going to have to make moves around the margins. You're going to have to find value. And 2 years ago when their defense was elite, that's how it was built. You were able to trade Tyreek Hill. You were able to get off of a lot of big contracts and really put that pressure and that responsibility on Mahomes and Reed, and then invest all of your resources into the defense. As those things are starting to balance out, now you still have to, try and replenish the defense to keep that system going forward. It's fine. their offseason is going to be a B probably for like the next 5 years.
They're too smart to have terrible off seasons, but they have limited assets to have A pluses or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, shout out Jalen Royals as well, 4th round pick for them. Basically another Rashee Rice, potentially another really good slot guy who can make people miss. People compare him to like the TikToks that are like, did this team just find their next star receiver? Yeah. Or like, is he the next Amon St. Brown? Everyone wants him to be St. Brown light. He's that type of receiver. And if that hits and he's a competent like playable player as a rookie, and the rest of the receivers can stay healthy, that will quickly, hopefully, get them back to having actual explosiveness on offense. They ranked like 30, I think they were 32nd or 31st in explosive play rate offensively this year, which is insane because of the Chiefs. Now, they weren't a bad offense. They just didn't have explosive plays downfield because it became a real dink and dunk team. They really adjusted their style of play because they just don't have the weapons to really fling it down the field like they once did.
You telling me DeAndre Hopkins didn't have an impact?
He had the most impact, which is crazy.
And he's not.
End of the season, they were throwing most of their deep shots were to him.
Yeah.
And he's gone, obviously. If they can get the receivers healthy, they can get ample protection, hopefully have a running back that can average 4 yards per carry next year. That's better than Kareem Hunt's 3.9. This team should be back to looking better offensively.
Yeah, in terms of passing or in terms of explosive passive plays, only teams that were worse than the Chiefs: the Bears, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Giants.
Okay, so the 27th. Yeah.
Doodle garbage. Holy
so
fuck.
it's awful. So yeah.
Terrible. But again, that shouldn't be the case next year, barring good health.
They're back
B+.
up. They're back up.
Okay, this sounds like a B.
All right. Raiders or Chargers? I mean, Raiders or Broncos? Which one?
Broncos, A+. This is another
I am
top
glad
flight.
you said that. I'm A+ too.
Wow.
let's do both. Actually, we'll go one by one. The Broncos are an A+. This is, I don't know if this is fair because I think they get attention. One of the biggest sleeping giants in the NFL this year.
Now, J.K. Dobbins moves you that much?
I don't give a fuck about J.K. Dobbins. What does move me is you have the best cornerback duo in the NFL, led by the DPOY Pat Surtain.
Not duo. They're going to have the best trio.
Because you add Jahdae Barron, and now you have the best trio potentially. A first-round pick at corner. He fell to them. If he is as good as you think they are, and you have 3 borderline elite cornerbacks led by the best cornerback in the NFL, one of the best cornerbacks of his era, and then you also sign Hufanga from San Francisco, the safety, who's never healthy anymore, but last time we saw him healthy a few years ago, first team All-Pro, and you signed Dre Greenlaw, who also had a horrific injury in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, only played 2 games last year. If he can give you help in the middle of the field, you have him and Hufanga in the middle of the field with a fantastic DB room. We could look up and this could be the best defense in the NFL. They have that type of ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the process is like sound and everything else in your team is fine, especially if you're like a mid team or an above average team, never going to be mad at you for doubling down on your strengths.
Yep.
Because you see all the time, what helps teams make long runs is having special units, and you're able to dictate games based on how you want to play whenever you have certain sizable advantages, and being able to have Surtain, Riley Moss, and Barron. That's amazing. Not to mention Brandon Jones, and then you sign Hufanga. Like, that secondary is nasty.
Okay, so what about the other side of the ball?
I'm glad you
does
asked.
the Evan Ingrams of the world move you guys?
Sure.
First of the world mentioned.
Shout out of the worlds. Evan Ingram's fine. Cool. It's a good addition.
Yeah.
Not mad at it. Their running attack was so pissed last year. The run blocking was really bad. They ranked poorly in most run blocking metrics. But also a big part of that is the running back sucked and had no juice. Javonte Williams had one of the worst elusive ratings in the NFL. Could not make people miss post-injury. He was cooked. I don't know if RJ Harvey is going to be a star. But you ask the fantasy football TikTokers, he is. Did we just find our next Arian Foster? He is also one of those guys that is like a fantasy football darling.
Yeah.
He's Sean Payton's guy. Sean Payton is the type of coach that identifies his guys in the draft that fit his needs and puts them into his lineup immediately. He famously creates offenses that are good for the running backs. You know, that's why a lot of people target the running backs in fantasy football. They're going to throw them the ball. They're going to use them in their passing attack. Hopefully be better on the run than Javonte Williams was. If RJ Harvey can be that above average starter and make their running attack good, hoping the run blocking naturally gets better too, because they do have a strong offensive line passing wise, this offense could be so much better.
I'm with them. I'm with that.
Okay.
A+.
Wow,
A+.
A+. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are super high on them.
This team is dangerous. And we'll keep it going with the other team. This is the most dangerous conference in the NFL now because the Raiders also get an A+. I mentioned the Patriots and the Ravens as the 2 teams that have like the best off seasons. The Raiders might be 3.
Didn't they fire the head coach?
Yeah, and they hired a legend.
Ooh, okay.
Now, that legend is the oldest coach in the NFL, and I'm a little worried how long he can stay there for.
Yeah.
But
for one season, can you give me one more day?
Can you give me one more year, Pete Carroll?
Can you do it?
Pete Carroll is another head coach. They gave Max Crosby a bag, kept him around. That was the question mark. They signed Jeremy Chin. They signed Alex Kappa. They signed Eric Stokes. And they lost Nate Hobbs. They lost Trevon Moehrig. And they lost Robert Spillane. So in and out, varying level of players, but I think kind of maintain what they lost talent-wise. Mm-hmm. Most importantly, they traded for Geno Smith. One of the best acquisitions of the offseason. Geno Smith, I don't know how I would say consensus, but I know there's some haters. Top 10 quarterback in my eyes.
Yes.
Wow.
Around 10.
You have no idea how insane that sounds to me as someone who's a casual who remembers this man just being did the worst way back then.
The Raiders were a tire fire last year. They were just desolate. The lack of talent on their offense specifically outside of Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, pathetic. To add Geno Smith and go make the single biggest gulf in quarterback play in the NFL this year, to go from having, again, players that will not play another down in the NFL to a top 10 quarterback. And then
he will not play another down.
Adding somebody who's going to walk into the league as probably a top 5 running back as a rookie in Ashton Genty, one of the most surefire prospects in a long time.
Oh, I have a question.
Elite.
Does the Chip Kelly, your old guy, hiring make you move you at all or no?
I still hate Chip Kelly. That's one. But two, Chip Kelly has shown that
he's a question mark.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But he's shown the ability. Especially at Ohio State, one thing that everyone really, really raved about was his ability to be flexible and to be dynamic with the type of talent that he had, and to create an offense around that. And so coming into to Las Vegas, it's a very interesting group of skill position players because you have Ashton Genty and you have Brock Bowers. You still don't have like a number one go get it wide receiver,
Jack Beck.
But what they do is like they played 12 personnel more than the league average, 14% more. So they have 2 tight ends on the field. And that is a way where you can be able to run the ball effectively. And because Brock Bowers is out there, you still have a number one pass catcher. I think like that's going to be something that Chip Kelly is going to be able to play with. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so basically they had no good running backs last year and no good run blockers. It was a terrible combination. And I think you had to enter the draft and like pick one. Was kind of the equation for them. They picked running back first. And that's always a debate. Do you build up the offensive line and get it so any running back can perform well?
Yeah.
Or do you get the running back talent and then build in the offensive line over time? They said Ashton Genty is too good to pass up on. We're going to do the latter. So that is still a question mark. Their offensive line is a gigantic TBD. They did spend 2 third-round picks on running backs. Guard Caleb Rogers, tackle Charles Grant. If 1 or 2 of those can hit, that's obviously third-round pick is not a guarantee, especially for tackles.
Yeah.
Usually if you're getting an elite tackle, it's going to be a high pick. If they can get those to hit, if they can make Alex Kappa be good, which once again, Bears guard, you don't want to get guards from some of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. But if they can hobble together with the new coaching staff, a competent offensive line, Geno Smith has showed for the past 2 years with the Seahawks, he can succeed in spite of fucking horrible protection.
Wow.
Genty's the type of guy that if there's anybody in the NFL that's going to be able to make defenders miss behind the backfield and be able to, like, once again, make something out of bad blocking, hopefully that can be him. The floor is low for them. They could be horrible again, but they have a relatively decent ceiling for where they were last year.
I feel like it's going to be very hard for them to be bad.
Yeah.
Just because they're going to have one of the easiest schedules
Okay.
in the league, and then we see all the time bringing in a new coach, going from their coaching situation to why am I blanking on his name? To Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
to go
Again, is that homeless into a mansion?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes. From where they were, yes. And like Alex Kappa and everything that he was doing in Cincinnati, was it like amazing? No, but you're just getting better.
Yeah.
And so like that's the thing that you are very excited about, is that you see the progression, you see them getting better. So A+ for the Raiders. It's awesome.
Okay.
All right, shout out the Raiders. This division is going to be hell next year. Like the Chargers, like if things go well for the Raiders, the Chargers could be the 4th place team in the division. And the Chargers are good. They're not amazing, but they're good.
And next thing you know, Chiefs win the division 12 games for like the 9th year in a row.
That sounds hellacious.
This team probably will have 2 wildcard teams. The Raiders probably won't make the playoffs, but like the Chargers and Broncos probably will. And this division's insane.
It's hellacious.
I gotta think about it some more. But
Is this the best division in the league?
No.
Yes. I think so. I think it
You
will be
said
next
it
year.
resounding yes. Why so?
For everything we're talking about. I think the Broncos are going to be threats. I think the Chargers are just competent. They're not going to be a bad team. You know, with John Harbaugh and with Jesse Minter running that defense, their floor is very high. And I think the Raiders are going to be 8-9 wins competent.
Can we go to the best division?
Go for it.
The NFC North.
Okay.
NFC North. Okay.
And so we have the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears.
Okay.
Let's start with the Lions.
Okay. I put C-.
I put C.
Okay. On the same wavelength.
I think like the Lions had the same kind of issue that the Eagles did, where they had a ton of, and the Lions even more so, ton of brain drain. You lose both of your coordinators. 8 of your assistants are gone. You lose your starting center in Frank Ragnow, who everyone has been talking about, just how much responsibility that he held on that offense. And then you lose another interior lineman. It's a lot to lose and a lot of important pieces to lose in an offseason. However, defensively, you did draft Tyleik Williams. You did replace you got DJ Reed in that secondary. Like, I think that they did the best of what they could and really made like good pieces. So all of their losses outside of like the Ragnow piece, which even then they said like wasn't a complete shock.
Yeah.
You did the best that you could for what happened.
Yeah, it's just highly unfortunate. It's kind of like the Eagles thing where the Eagles are so good they had to lose people this summer. It was built into their plan. They had to let people walk, and that like while you can plan for that, you know, you're getting worse in some areas and you have to get a not so great grade. Similar thing here. You can't help that your coordinators are all getting poached and that Ragnow decided to retire and that Kevin Zeitler was old as fuck, so you let him go. But they did a solid job. They drafted Tate Ratledge in round 2, which he will be thrusted into a starting job pretty much immediately because of the combination of guys they lost. It'll be a deciding factor if he can hold up to that. If Alex Tesla in the 3rd round can be another, you know, addition to their wide receiver room that is worthy of the draft compensation the draft investment. And what are these coordinators going to be? They hired from within. Are they going to maintain the level they had? Are we going to trust Dan Campbell to be the CEO coach that we know he is, that can maintain the program? Can that survive without the best offensive or top 5 offensive mind on the market? TBD. And there's a lot of TBDs that are just warrant to see.
It's very straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah. So C for them. They won 15 games last year. Other team who won 15 games in the division, the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
I'm giving them a B.
I wrote A, but I'm not married to it.
Okay. Why are you so high on them?
Sam Darnold guy. That's why.
I think so. The most important thing for them this year is how they set up their young quarterback to succeed. JJ McCarthy will be their quarterback, and simply put, there's a lot of talk last year about Caleb Williams is walking into the best supporting cast any number 1 pick has ever had. That was the narrative. Didn't become the reality because of coaching issues for the most part. We'll talk about them next. I feel safe to say there has never been a rookie quarterback that has a better circumstance than JJ McCarthy this year. They signed Will Fries and signed Ryan Kelly to improve their offensive line, and they drafted Donovan Jackson in the 1st round. That is so massive. They could not run block last year. Their interior was a disaster. For everything that went well, their interior offensive line was not a good run blocking unit. They could not dominate the game on the ground in the way they wanted to. They couldn't impose their will and have max versatility because they could control the ball on the ground. I think now they will be able to, or at the very least, they'll have ample protection for JJ McCarthy. Offensive line, barring health, shouldn't be an issue. They signed Hargraves and they signed Jonathan Allen to improve their interior defensive line. Also wasn't a massive strength. Those guys are obviously getting up there in age. There's a reason they're able to go. I think Jonathan Allen could hopefully have some juice still. That could be helpful. They have some swing factors with some edge rushers they drafted last year. Their 1st round pick. I'm blanking on his name now. Getting interior defensive linemen to help him is great. So their defensive line should be stronger. I like Jordan Mason a lot. Jordan Mason moved me last year. Granted, he was playing for Kyle Shanahan, which is like anybody can run for 5 yards a pop playing for Kyle Shanahan. So that maybe I'm overrating him, but I love him as a backup running back.
Yeah.
I just feel like they put their quarterback in an amazing position to succeed.
You know what? I was hating. I had him at B. You moved me.
Let's go.
I'll go A.
Wow, you got moved that easily?
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, it really is. I had him at B for no reason. It really was just hate. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, like it's
and also I do think that they made the right decision not signing Sam Darnold again.
Yeah.
And the fact that you draft JJ McCarthy with the 10th overall pick, it's pretty much assumed. Like if he didn't get hurt, he was going to start. He was going to play last year, and so there's only so much time that you can keep that guy on the bench. So
Dallas Turner, that's the edge rusher I was talking about. I blanked on his name.
Nice.
That's their ceiling factor. If Dallas Turner can return value on their first round investment and be a actual like game changing edge rusher, then this defense will be outrageous. The offense has all the ability to be outrageous if JJ McCarthy can still be there. I honestly have no real holes to poke at.
Okay, so with that being said, what do you think the team's ceiling is next year?
I mean, they can make it to the. It depends on how you feel about JJ McCarthy and what he looks like. But if he is a good quarterback,
rookies don't win Super Bowls, so I'm not going to say Super Bowl ceiling.
They don't, but they can win a playoff game.
The floor, they can win a playoff game. That's an easy outcome.
You say the floor that you didn't win a playoff game.
You're right. No, my bad. So being good enough to win a playoff game is the floor. They will be that good. I don't know if it'll happen, but like they'll be good enough. They can make the conference championship.
That's all I was thinking. The same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's if JJ McCarthy has a lot of pressure on him. Obviously, he has to be good, and we're saying he's in a good position to be good. Being in a good position versus actually being good as a rookie is a different thing. It's straight up TBD. We just don't know. So,
but if anybody's can make him good, Justin Jefferson can do that. Kevin O'Connell can do that.
Yeah. Again, I didn't even mention that. Like, it is a fantastic situation.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Bears. The perennial offseason winners have once again won the offseason.
They did it.
Another A+.
How many offseasons can you win to deserve continuous A+?
They've only won. They are the back-to-back offseason champions.
3 in a row, really.
They won 2 years ago.
People were hyping up, the summer before, whenever they still had Justin Fields, Hope. You got, the DJ Moore coming in. Like, it wasn't to the same level, but people were sneaky winners.
Yeah. So what makes them like the biggest winners of this offseason?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
Describe Ben Johnson to me.
Boy genius.
Genius. Okay.
He is, for everything we said about the Lions and how they were in such a good spot, he's the guy who made the offense go. He's one of the most creative offensive coordinators in the league. Very young. Some people think he has untapped potential as a head coach, that he can really transition to that role well, which is a very different job than being an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
People have faith in that. No matter what happens for this team this year, I feel confident their offense will be so much better purely off of competency. You cannot overlook just how horrific their coaching situation was last year. The ways in which their talent was utilized was so fucking stupid.
Even on the defensive end?
Defense is fine. Their defense is talented. It's not the best unit, but it's fine.
Okay.
Offensively, horrendous. They were touted as having this great receiver core that can help Caleb as a rookie. Used them in all the wrong ways. Keenan Allen was running go balls. We had their first round pick, star potential big wide receiver, focusing on the intermediate areas.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculous deployment of talent on that end. And their offensive line was a fucking disaster. Now, Caleb also played a part of that. He held the ball for too long. There was I had to scratch it though. I keep fucking up talking.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Caleb played a part of that, the protection being bad, by holding the ball too long and being a rookie. But he was so left out to dry by the fact they had no interior blocking and no coordinator help to put him in a good spot to succeed. It was a true disaster, and now they should be at baseline competent.
Mind you, going into last season, their head coach was on fraud watch. Like, he was on the hot seat, and then they put the Bears on Hard Knocks, and they were like, oh my God, literally, Matt Eberflus grew a beard. He's going to be so different. Like, they legit tried to sell Matt Eberflus as being a different head coach by trying to make him sexy.
Yeah, he had aura. And he did. He was looking crazy. He was hot. It didn't matter.
And then it just all failed. Okay. So, but yeah, so to add Ben Johnson in, most of the time whenever you get a lot of like very creative offensive minds, a lot of times people you go hire him as the head coach and you think we have his mind, we're going to be a great offense. The Bears did that. But them and Ben Johnson also realized I was able to do so much of what I did because the Lions had one of the better offensive lines in the league. So they said, not only are we going to go get you, we are going to go revamp this entire offensive line and make it possible for you to even do your job. And so that is an amazing 1-2 punch of what they did in the offseason. So I'm very happy with that. I think that Ben Johnson, the way that Ben Johnson talks and the way that Caleb Williams talks, I'm like, you guys are meant for each other.
Yeah,
they have this like, I think it's more so in Caleb, but they have this arrogance and this belief to them that it feels like a match. Man,
it feels like to believe in the Bears offseason, like people that treat you like it's naive, but like there's so little holes to poke at for this offseason. They get an elite offensive mind, Ben Johnson. They get Dennis Allen as a DC, who's an elite defensive coordinator. Flamed out as a head coach, but difference maker defensively. He's a great defensive coordinator. At least he should be. Trade for Jonah Jackson at right guard. Trade for Joe Tooney at left guard. Sign Drew Dahlman at center. Completely revamped the interior line.
Dang.
Okay, so
I'm struggling right now.
do you, Donovan? I guess the question is, do you
I
want
wasn't
he's
done.
dying?
Also, draft
Go ahead.
Ozzie Trevino in the second round. Could be a developmental tackle. Great. Defensive trenches. Sign Edge Dio Adeyingbo. Sign DT Grady Jarrett. Sign draft DT Shamar.
He's going to drink some more water, man.
Ask your question.
With all this being said, I guess the line for me is, can you see this team getting 7-8 wins?
Yes.
Oh, 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I can. Now, mind you, they lost 10 straight games last year.
I know. That's why I'm like, 7-8 wins is
They had
crazy.
the 10-game losing streak. They lost on a Hail Mary where their cornerback thought that the game was over, was looking over at the fans, like, giving everybody the middle finger. They had mismanagement at the end of games. They just had the worst. They found and invented ways to lose last year. That's not going to be the case this year. 7 wins is 100% possible for them. Okay. And like their line right now is at 8.5.
Okay.
So the line is like, can you guys get to a winning season? Yeah. Can you guys go 9-8? That's kind of the expectation right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's possible just because of how strong the division is, but it's not a crazy expectation, especially if you think that Ben Johnson is who he is, and Caleb Williams just needed a refresh in terms of his
The only issue with the
situation.
offseason is they didn't get another running back. Because they decided instead to get Colson Lovin, the best tight end in the draft, and the second round draft Luther Burden over the running backs they could have picked. I think Luther Burden is incredible.
They got weapons on weapons. So, yeah, they're good. They are good. So, A for them.
A for them. Packers, I put B+. We're throwing around a lot of Bs.
Yeah, I know you guys are being super generous today.
Honestly, this is an offseason defined by most teams being smart. This was a very wasn't a lot of stupid people in this offseason this year.
And you know why?
Okay.
Every year, whenever the team wins the Super Bowl, everyone's like, "What did they do? Let's copy that." And so the Eagles win, and the big narrative's like, "They're amazing in the trenches." And so now
who'd have thought?
And so now everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we do have to play football with like great offensive and defensive lines. Let's go invest in that." And the Packers, they did that. I think for them, I put C+ just because.
Damn.
No, I mean it's just a very like regular.
Yeah.
Like shout out to you, right? You invested in the right positions, but it was nothing crazy, and so I'm fine.
I don't know. I mean, I like Matthew Golden.
Okay.
Matthew Golden could be their wide receiver 1, could be the deep threat they need. They famously have 1,000 wide receiver 2s. Some people might view Matthew Golden as a gadget deep threat. That could be another one of those. I think he's good. I think he could really finally give them the deep threat they need. Jordan Love, his whole appeal as a quarterback is his ridiculous arm talent and being able to make these deep throws, crazy accurate on the numbers. They don't really have the personnel for that. They have in the past couple of years. They have 2 receivers that were in the bottom 3 in the NFL in drop rate in Jordan Reed and Wicks.
Yeah.
So that's not great. Obviously, what's the big deep threat guy's name again? I'm blinking.
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson is always hurt, unreliable.
Still out with ACL.
Yeah.
Recovering.
Matthew Golden can be Christian Watson, who's better at other things besides running straight real fast.
Yeah.
They sign Aaron Banks. They sign Nate Hobbs. Solid starters. They draft offensive tackle Anthony Belton in round 2 to be their future tackle, I think, because they're probably not going to pay both Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker. So I imagine he's the future replacement for Rasheed Walker. So that's proactive. That's smart. You picked your most important positions on the team, and you got slightly better there.
Yeah.
They didn't lose anything substantial.
Yeah, it's okay. I think this whole season for a lot of teams, and once we start getting into like predictions and stuff, it's going to be based on like the quarterback play. And for Jordan Love, and this is why I think like a ceiling for the Packers is Jordan Love got hurt multiple times last year. He got hurt in week 1 against the Eagles because they were playing on that whack field out there in Brazil. And then they come back in week 8, he gets hurt against the Jags. And so that was something kind of like lingering throughout the season. I do think you are struggling today. I do think that Golden is going to be a net positive.
Yeah.
And so C+, B, whatever. I think I was probably just grading a little hard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the B range and I'm just like, bro, it feels really, really crowded.
It is. I mean, a lot of teams just did good stuff.
Yeah, like that's like a talking point. Like this year was full of smart teams making smart decisions. Like it just again, will it all pan out this way? No.
Yeah.
But on paper, a lot of teams operated smartly.
That's why the NFL is so fucking crazy, man. Half of these teams are gonna have a season from hell next year.
Yeah, some of these people will lose ACLs and it'll be sad. But grading just their offseason, they got better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move over to the NFC West. Seahawks.
I'm going D. I'm going D for the Seattle Seahawks.
D.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because I think your point is probably moving off of Geno and doing this little quasi rebuild is not smart.
Yes.
I agree that it's. I wouldn't have wanted to do that, but I think what they did, going down that path, wasn't the worst thing in the world. I feel like they executed it decently. So I don't think I can go D just because I disagree with the mode when like the execution was decent.
I think that you had a team in year one of a head coach, in a year one of a new head coach in Mike McDonald. You win 10 games, you missed the playoffs on like a 6 tiebreaker or whatever, and you had arguably a top 10 quarterback, and you trade him away. And you had DK Metcalf, and he is now replaced with Cooper Kupp. That in itself, your 1-2 punch on offense being gone, that's not good.
But do you think from further logic they're trying to like sell high?
I mean, probably, but you are now your roster proved last year that you're onto something and you can build a little bit. And
I don't know if it. So you're right. They're onto something for the near future. Geno Smith's getting old, and then you said first year with the new coach in McDonald. At some point, they had to lay the foundation for his era. I don't think it's so. Again, I wouldn't have wanted to trade Geno. I think Geno's very good. If your logic is we're not going to win a Super Bowl, we're not going to make a deep run, we got to tear it down a little bit to build a stronger foundation. Getting it's a third round pick. It's not the best draft compensation. They lost the trade because they traded the better player. But, that pick became Jalen Milroe. We'll see if he becomes something. And Sam Darnold, who they replaced. Like, Sam Darnold's worse. If you're telling me it's Sam Darnold plus somebody who they think has upside, I can understand the logic. I don't care about Cooper Kupp. I care about them drafting Gray Zabel in the first round. They had a horrible offensive line that left Geno out to die a lot. He threw a lot of bad picks. He had to force it, and he was blamed for a lot of the offensive line's shortcomings. I like that. I like Nick Amawari in round 2, a crazy athletic safety that has a high ceiling with them already having amazing defensive talent. They have the best nickel corner in the NFL, strong safeties. If Nick Amawari can be 40% of what Derwin James is at that size, their defense can get outrageous really fast. They should be strong on that end. And I like hiring Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, which is a gigantic upgrade from the bullshit they had last year.
Okay. So a couple things. If Geno signed a 2-year, Geno's extension was a 2-year, $75 million extension with the Raiders. The Seahawks gave Sam Darnold like $32 million at sign-in. Yeah. It's a $55 million guaranteed. There's a lot of ways that they can get out of it, so it is more flexible. Yeah. But if that's the cost, I'm gonna pay the extra to have Geno Smith in this mini window. It's not like you extended him on a 5-year deal and everything's gone. So there's that. 2, Kubiak. Yeah, he's also on a show me type of deal. The Saints, amazing through 2 weeks. And then everybody got hurt and the O-line wasn't great. And then the Saints looked like trash. And so you, once again, are going to have to go to a situation where the O-line is less than optimal. You have a quarterback who literally is known for seeing ghosts and pressure. One of the biggest reasons why the Vikings were like, oh yeah, we got to move off of Sam Darnold is because the last 2 weeks of the season, everyone's like, yeah, we're going to send pressure at him. We're going to see what happens. And he fell apart. And it dismantled all the good stuff that he did for the first 16, 17 weeks of the season. If you are putting him in that position again, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And now you could have won the division last year. Granted, if things break right, you can still do that. If we're just going based off of lines, they're projected to be the worst team in the division, and that's a very, very big swing.
It's a strong division, though. This is a really strong division.
It's a very big swing, and so I'm not a fan of what they did offensively, and I think that is massive for obviously their outlook. So I'm going D for them.
I put C just because I think the execution is decent. Well, I don't like the idea of necessarily. Yeah, that weighs out to me as being neutral, and the biggest flaw to me is just obviously JSN. The best slot receiver in the NFL last year on the EPA per play perspective. He was one of the most efficient wide receivers down the stretch of the second half of the season in the NFL, primarily as a slot specialist. Cooper Kupp, if you put him on the outside, it's going to be sad. It's going to look like Old Yeller.
Damn.
He also plays slot. They're putting a lot of pressure on Torrey Horton, their 5th-round pick wide receiver, to be an outside presence from day one. He's a fucking 5th-round pick. I like Torrey Horton. 5th-round pick.
What does he know about cameras?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. He's good, I think, But asking to be that good that fast is tough. Now, Clint Kubiak does have, I'm getting my fucking throat, man, has one of the highest rate of tight formations in the NFL. So that makes it more likely that you can get away with multiple slot receivers. So I do trust him to make the most out of the Cup JSN pairing. I like tight end Elijah Oworo they drafted. I think there's stuff to be had there, but there's a world in which it doesn't gel, and none of the positions you're putting players in makes sense. And Sam Darnold falters under the pressure of an offensive line that's better but not great yet. Real floor here, but I don't hate the moves on paper.
You're gonna have to show me. It's a very risky deal that they pulled off. So
Side note, would you feel better if DK was a part of that room?
No. Well, I guess
selling
so.
him for a second round pick is that's kind of I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I like the offseason. I'm perfectly fine selling high on DK.
It's more so losing Geno, going from Geno to Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
really messes with me, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So that's why I'm going D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they just saw the fade and just sold off already, which I can understand.
It's
okay.
Sam Darnold.
We'll go in between. We'll go C-. We'll split the difference.
All right.
San Francisco 49ers staying in the division.
C+.
That's exactly what I wrote.
There you go.
Damn.
Locked in.
I mean, listen.
Where do you start? I guess the biggest thing is what headlines were. Oh my
Mr.
God,
Purdy.
you gave Brock Purdy $53 million contract.
Okay, yeah, that's the headline.
Yeah.
And you have to pay Brock Purdy. I'll say that.
Yeah.
You have to pay Brock Purdy. From where they're at, if Brock Purdy didn't get drafted by this team where he got drafted, I don't know if Kyle Shanahan would have a job right now. And Kyle Shanahan's an amazing coach. Their drafts have been fucking dreadful in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
The way that they've found a way to not replenish their roster is insane. It is saved by the fact they found a franchise quarterback in the 7th round. So I'm perfectly understanding of them not wanting to let him go and overthink it and try to get a new cheap quarterback and like really game the system. I get it. You give him the money that he's earned. With that being said, it's not good value. Like some people are acting like it's the worst contract in the world.
Yeah.
It's not one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. It's market rate. It's fine for who he is. If you go from getting Brock Purdy on pennies for the dollar and now your roster has to account for him making $53 million, you're going to get worse in a lot of areas.
That's tough.
I don't think Brock Purdy is the type of talent. I think he's good. I think he's better than I think Donovan thinks. But I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to elevate you when you lose that much talent.
What do you think? I think.
I think you.
What do you think? Like I think Purdy's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that even last year, the Niners had a season from hell, and everybody got hurt, and they were still like kind of. You saw the flashes, and they were still able to produce at a decent rate. I think now coming into this year, it's not even Purdy that's more the question for me. It's more George Kittle and Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey and all the older guys, right, who continuously get hurt. Brandon Ayuk is also still recovering. You traded away Deebo Samuel. This whole team looks very, very different.
Yeah.
And every time that I looked up in the early parts of this offseason, they were losing somebody. So somebody had to walk away.
They lost Aaron Banks, Trevarius Ward, Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Jordan Mason, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Moore.
It's so many pieces that they lost. And then
Deebo Samuel. Damn.
And one of the biggest issues on this team was the offensive line. And nothing major was done to improve it. And I'm not a fan of that. So they did what they had to do, but it still is not anything to give me super, super hope. It's crazy. Their win total line is at 10.5.
Wow.
Which it's pretty high. I think given that division and given the pieces that they lost, 10.5 feels a little bit rich for me.
I don't hate it, but yeah, it's tough. I like the reason they don't have a low grade after all those negatives you listed. They did a pretty good job in the draft. They obviously need to replenish both sides of the ball. Like I said, they just depleted talent from whiffing on so many draft picks and then losing all those veterans. They drafted Mykal Williams in the first round. Fantastic run defender. If he can develop and be a good player opposite Nick Bosa in the trenches on the pass rush, great. Drafted DT Alfred Collins in round 2. Again, trenches. Linebacker Nick Martin round 3. Cornerback Upton Stout in round 3. They realized their defense needed more juice after losing so many guys, and they put the necessary assets there on guys that I think are viewed as pretty good picks. I like the draft a good amount to make up for the just inevitable bad free agency.
Yeah, before you mentioned that, I was gonna say they sound very much like a D-list team, but considering what they did with the drafts,
they're fine.
They made up for it. Los Angeles Rams. They signed Devontae Adams to replace Cooper Kupp. They lost right guard Jonah Jackson to the Bears. They stole Poona Ford from the Chargers at DT. Drafted Terrence Ferguson round 2. Drafted Josiah Stewart at linebacker round 3. Drafted running back Jarquez Hunter round 4. How are we feeling?
We feel okay.
And they retained Matt Stafford when that was a question mark. He might have left. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going B for them. I think the Devontae Adams is. I think that's an upgrade. I think keeping Matthew Stafford is good. I'll go B plus because I actually really like the addition of Poona Ford. I think that's good for them.
You said B. You said B.
B plus.
B plus.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go B plus because like you have Poona Ford, Jared Verse, right? Braden Fisk, all that. Like that's a good line.
No, it's going to be one of the best lines in the
That's what I'm
NFL.
saying.
That's
That's what I'm
an
saying.
incredible line. Jared Verse is one of the rising stars in the NFL. Obviously, the interior lineman they drafted with him, like this will be a game-changing defensive line.
Yes, the offensive line and it's not their fault because Alark Jackson, one of their starting linemen, he's dealing with blood clots right now, and so I don't know how that line is going to look, especially with Stafford, who's aging and obviously isn't like a mobile QB.
Yeah.
So I guess that's more for the outlook, but that's not on them in terms of their offseason.
I think they're going to have one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. I think Devontae Adams has at least one more great year in him, just like I think Matthew Stafford probably has one more great year in him. And they're going to have a game-changing defensive line. We'll see if they trade for Jalen Ramsey. We are recording this a week in advance before it comes out, so maybe that trade will have happened by now. But as of recording this, it's in the air. A lot of rumors linking them.
If that happens, does that boost them immediately to A?
No, not to A. Probably keeps them around there, but I would like that.
Okay.
Just so to just fortify their defense even more. Yeah, and I feel very strongly about their defensive line being god tier next year.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So B plus for them.
Cardinals.
B.
Ooh. You're solid on that? You won't.
I'm going B for the Cardinals.
This is my last A team, I think, of this list.
A. Okay.
I think this is my last A. They signed so the story of the Cardinals last year: defensive line pressure, fucking existent. Big part of that was because they had just brutal injuries.
Yeah.
They have defensive linemen that have some juice. BJ Ojolari was injured his second year last year, tore his ACL before the season started. Unfortunate. Because of that, they had so little pass rush in the first half of the season, it was putrid. They had no chance out there. Second half of the season, they got healthy. They were one of the most improved defenses in the NFL in the second half of the season. Big sleeper on why I feel good about them going to next year. I think their defense will really be, notable next year. Mm-hmm. And all they did was sign edge Josh Sweat, sign D lineman Calais Campbell, draft defensive tackle Walter Nolan, draft cornerback Will Johnson in the second round, who should have been a first-round pick, but injuries held him back. That is a ton of defensive juice to add to a unit that was already ascending in the second half of last year. I feel good about a Marvin Harrison second year, not bounce back because it's
leap. Step.
Yeah. Like they used him in a very rudimentary way last year, and I think they're probably going to learn from that. They probably know you can't just have him run go balls. Mm-hmm. You can't have him be the clear out wide receiver every play. You got to set him up to succeed in the middle of the field, get him something going in motion, be smart with him. Hopefully, him and Kyler develop that connection.
That's what I was gonna say. That's a Kyler thing.
Yeah, and we'll see with that. But I feel so good about the way they reinvented this defense, especially on the D line. And I think Will Johnson, if he stays healthy, which is always a big if, these guys fall for a reason because of these injuries. If you add a cornerback 1 to this room, where they also have one of the best nickels in the NFL already, they have Budda Baker, who's a top 3 safety in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That could be 3 elite DBs and like 4 or 5 solid defensive linemen.
Damn.
Can I be moved to A?
That's a high ceiling.
It is a high.
I mean,
it is. You know what?
On paper, when it comes to
now, it's an insanely difficult division, so we'll see. But
in terms of offseason and doing the things that you have to do, like finally giving Jonathan Gannon pieces to where he can go out and do, defensive mastermind type of things. That is a big aspect of it. Okay, we can go A.
There we go. And I think that's the last A. So I think we can stop glazing for now. Like this is 8 teams and A is a lot, but like I said, it was a good offseason for a lot of these teams.
Cool.
The Cardinals are one of my favorite teams going next year.
Yeah, they got it.
All right, let's move on to our last division, the NFC South. What are we grading the Falcons?
See, I gotta respect the aggressiveness.
Okay.
Because this is back-to-back years that the Falcons have gone into the draft and done stuff that everyone's like, word?
Yeah, all right.
And like they said, we need a quarterback. I don't care if we have a top pick. We are going to
Wait, you think they need a quarterback?
No, they did last year.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
And they said, we're going to take Michael Penix Jr. And then this year, right, you take Jalen Walker. And they said, you know what? We still need a little bit more juice.
We love James Pierce.
We love James Pierce. Let's do whatever it takes to go get him. And the value is like, hey, this guy better be a starter. That value is going to look bad. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it just because it's been so bad for so many years that's desperate. And you know what? I kind of like that from them. I'm gonna give them a B.
I put B minus. I feel more like C plus. So their offensive infrastructure is pretty good. They have weapons. They have a quarterback they feel decent about. I mean, they feel good about that. I think we feel decent about that. We see reason to be optimistic. Let's see what it looks like in 4 years as a starter. They did essentially nothing to make their offense better this year. They said we're putting every single fucking asset to that defensive side of the ball because our defense is putrid. And it was deserved. They had horrible defensive talent up and down the roster. So I understand that. But to put nothing offensively?
It's fine.
You lose Drew Dalman, you lose the center, that's something.
Honestly, that tells me that they're super confident in the homegrown talent that they have.
It is, yeah. And they're confident in Michael Penix taking a leap and that being their addition by in-house growth. So, okay. I like signing Leonard Floyd, see if we get something from him. Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon are still free agents. We'll see if they bring either one of them back. They signed Divine Diablo, who's a athletic linebacker. I like Jalen Walker in the first round. He's kind of a tweener. We'll see what they do to deploy him. If he's going to be an off-ball linebacker that rushes, or if he's going to be a full-time edge, we'll see. What they gave up for James Pierce was too much. It was objectively not good draft management. But my favorite thing any NFL team can have is 2 dominant edge rushers. That's my favorite way to build a team is 2 elite edge rushers. If you can get that in one draft, that can change your fucking life.
Yeah.
I don't think James Pierce and Jalen Walker is necessarily the safest bet to have that. But if it hits, it changes your fucking life. So I'm going to go more towards C+, because I think they have, even if that does happen, they still have a lot of holes on the defense. Their corner room is not deep. Their safety room, they have one amazing safety in Bates. It's not a deep secondary by any means. The linebacker core doesn't move you up. And obviously, defensive line sucks. If these 2 got hit, their defensive line could be good. But they still have more holes that I'm not necessarily excited for giving away future first-round picks.
It's okay. It's okay. You got to take a swing. And I think especially with the offensive infrastructure that they have, and because this division is so winnable, you do have to go out every single year and try to contend for it. I'm cool giving them a B.
For now, it looks like a B, but I can very much envision a world in where I think, first and foremost, it's all starts with their quarterback and whether or not he's able to live up to a certain level of expectation and be respectable. And if he does that, I think if also on top of that too, the guys that they drafted in the first round, the trades that they made too, this could easily turn into an A. Yeah,
if it works and these are 2 elite edge rushers, then obviously it changes everything. You just got to weigh like the likelihood of that once you give up. They give up a ton to get James Pierce. Like that's, I don't know.
You better bang.
Yeah, it better bang. You have a lot on the line for everybody's jobs. What do you want to do with the Carolina Panthers? They drafted Ted McMillan round 1, obviously. Nick Scorton round 2, Prince Unum, I don't know, 3rd round, and running back Trevor Etienne 4th round. They did a decent job in the draft, I think. I think we all like Ted McMillan to go help Bryce Young. Free agency, they also signed some solid deals here. They got Deshaun Wharton from the Chiefs, Trevon Moehrig, Patrick Jones II, Bobby Brown III, Rico Dowdle. They filled the roster with some talented players.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going like B+. I think to go out and get Ted, pair him with Leggett, that's very, very important to me. Just because towards the end of last season, Bryce Young started to click. Whenever he came back after the benching and after Andy Dalton, got into that car accident.
That's so crazy.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah. There were games at the end of the season, specifically like against the Eagles, where the anticipation that everyone raved about with Bryce Young was really, really on target. And they were diming people up with old man Adam Thielen, and they had chances to win games. Xavier Leggett, he had dropped a pass in that Eagles game. Yeah. But to be able to just overall replenish wide receiver depth with Ted, and then now have 2 receivers that you feel good about to help Bryce, I like that a lot. And then just any move, they could have signed you to play defensive tackle, and I would have been like, they're trying. Yeah. And I would have been okay.
Yeah, spending your 2nd or 3rd round pick on edge rushers, bare minimum. That's exactly what they need to do. They have so many holes and so many spots they need to help on the defensive end that it's like Rome can't be built in a day. They have so many holes to fill, but you feel good about the progress they made.
So you kind of feel iffy about the Falcons because there's a lot more risk on their side because they had to pay more for the guys.
Yeah, because they traded up and gave up next year's first round pick to trade up back in the first round. They gave up their second round pick in this draft to move up like 15 spots to get into the first round and give up next year's first round pick. So that's like 2 important picks for a guy in James Pierce who is not a safe bet necessarily. So that was just like the asset management is scary because that is a big downside.
Yeah.
Whereas the Panthers stayed pat and just drafted good players and try to chip away at all the holes little by little and hope next year can continue to build on that.
Panthers last season, lowest defensive success rate in the league, lowest EPA per play on defense in the league last year. They needed help, and they've taken some steps to do it. So I think
if they would put Mo out there at defensive end, he could have led the team in pressures.
Probably.
You get one swim move, you're gonna get a contract.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah. Okay, so it'd be Saints. Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
The 8.
C minus.
I put
back
D.
My friend.
I just the Kellen Moore hire is like cool. That's why I went C minus. But also, it's the same thing as we can go deep because it's the same thing as with the Browns. If you walk into week 1 with the quarterback room looking like that, you are trash. And the Saints for years have been doing some money laundering, some cap swindling, and they refuse to accept that they need to go into a rebuild, and they keep playing the line. This year, they are going to suck, and they are still kind of towing the line, and they're still not fully into the rebuild. That's like, I think every year that goes on where they don't fully lean into it, it's going to be a below average offseason.
Yeah, I'm going D. I'm going D for the same reason I'm going the Bengals at F. I just hate them. And I just hate I hate the way they run their franchise.
Are you telling me there's like no redeeming quality of this offseason?
They drafted Kelvin Banks in the first round. He should be a good tackle for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a good pick. Tyler Shuck in the second round.
Okay.
That's a pick for you're trying to win games still and remain competent. And like you draft the old 25-year-old quarterback because he's ready to play now and keep you afloat because you don't want to rebuild. Hate that. Maybe he's good. Maybe he proves us wrong. Don't like that strategy. You know, like you said, they're clearly not entering a rebuild. They signed Brandon Cooks. They signed Justin Reed, which is a good signing from the Chiefs. Shout out them. Derek Carr retired, no longer on the books. Shout out him. They're not better than they were last year.
Are they worse?
They're just the Saints. They're just the Saints. Like they are going to have to hit a hard reset eventually, but until they do that, it's not going to be anything. They won 5 games last year. Their line this year, their win total line is at 6.5, which I feel like is very high.
Smack the under.
I'm smacking the under right now.
This is investment advice.
I don't see a world where they get to 7 wins. I think they're going to be last in the division. I think Carolina is going to be much better than what they were last year.
Wow.
Tampa Bay and Atlanta obviously are probably going to compete for the title, but New Orleans, unless you think that Kellen Moore can come in and just change everything about this team, fine. But I don't think that that's the case. I'm giving them a D.
Yeah. Last team on this list, Buccaneers.
Seems like they had an exciting offseason.
They lost Liam Cohen, which sucks. They lost our offensive coordinator that came in and replaced David Canales. They promoted their passing coordinator, Josh Grizzard. So kept somebody from within the organization. Hopefully he can do much of the same things. You know, he was in charge of a big part of it before. So you could feel decent about that as far as losing coordinators go. They draft Emeka Egbuka in round 1. They draft Benjamin Morrison, cornerback in round 2, and cornerback Jacob Parrish in round 3. Love that. Their secondary needs all the help it can get. They took swings there in the second and third round after going best player available in round 1 and kind of planning for the future. Post Chris Godwin, post Mike Evans, whatever it may be. They thought Egbuka could be a future corner piece in the receiver room. Not mad at it. Then immediately pivoting to secondary help. Love that. They signed Hassan Reddick from the Jets, who's coming off the worst season of his career in his prime, 30 years old. If they can get something for him, I like him opposite Diaby, who is an underrated edge rusher. Got a little bit better, I think.
I'm going A.
I put B.
I like offensively. I like what they did. I like the Abuka pick a lot, especially because like very happy that Chris Godwin is coming back. He has gone through several major lower leg injuries, and I'm not sure how to feel about him moving forward. Mike Evans, they gave him a Make-A-Wish 1,000-yard season last year. Like it's ridiculous that
still got it.
Literally, it was handed to him on one of the last plays of the year, so that's fine. But outside of that, Bucky Irving is every football nerd's favorite running back. You are returning everybody on the team. Baker has found something in this offense, and I understand that Liam Cohen was there and gone, but like you said, one of the things that made this team great was how good they were on third down, and their new OC was in charge of the third down passing game. So you still have all of that intact. And then Hassan Reddick, I'm throwing out last year because of how weird the contract stuff was, the holdout. If you can get him focused full offseason, you can get a boost right there. I like it. The division is theirs for the taking, and having continuity, especially around a quarterback like Baker, I'm cool with that.
We'll go B+. We'll put him in between like we did with the Jags. That feels fair.
Mike Evans barely got 1,000 receiving yards this year.
Yes,
just barely.
Their win total 10-7 last year. Lost in the first round to the Commanders. Their win total line this year is at 9.5. So really staying the same right where they are. But I think that for a division that once again has a lot of holes, and for some people can be labeled as the worst division in the NFL, it's winnable and they can go get it.
Shout out the Bucs, man. They're just such a high floor team that did what they should do, get a little bit better. I kind of expected a little bit more attention to the defense, especially that first round pick. But like we said, you can't be mad at them going best player available with a guy that everybody loves. Everybody likes Igbukah. He's like the most widely adored prospect in this draft. Nobody has a bad word to say about him. So not really any reason to hate outside of the unfortunate losing of your OC.
This was, again, we've talked about it. It's a very good offseason for a lot of teams. A lot of teams actually moved pretty well, pretty smartly. Is that a word, smartly?
It is a word now.
I'm going to take it.
There you go.
I'm going to take it.
And with that being said, that's every single grade for every single team in the NFL. Our thoughts on every team's offseason, our full collection of thoughts on these teams for the first time. Yeah, man. If it's your first time watching the show, if you somehow don't know us in the Deep Three and you're watching our NFL content for the first time, so shout out to you. True day one. And with that being said, I got to introduce you guys to the second part of our show. A tradition we have over here that we do on the other show. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do a lot of segments, a lot of mini games, a lot of just tomfoolery, like I said earlier. We're on to TikTok time.
Crown Eaters, we transform into football.
Welcome to TikTok time. For the first time in house call history,
a momentous occasion.
We're here to yap about the NFL, have some fun, do some games. Should be good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We march.
Can't wait.
So for the first time in NFL content history for us, we're going to begin with the draft. As always. And you guys know if you see us on T3, we do these drafts where we draft point guard through center, making NBA teams with a certain theme. That is no different today, except for today we're going to be drafting NFL offenses. Quarterback, wide receiver, actually 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. And the theme for today, again, I got to start with something to throw a bone to one of us up here in our fandoms. Throw it to Donovan. We're going to do it with your favorite team.
What the hell, man?
Stop saying that.
Here knows it's coming.
I know.
Yeah.
We are going to draft NBA. See, look at me. I'm still NBA brain. We're going to draft NFL offenses with only Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Good job.
This is very interesting.
Stop saying that, bro.
You act like you disrespected him.
I'm never going to stop. I promise I'll never stop going in.
It's actual disrespect. I'm not playing.
So we're going to keep the draft order rotating from what we do on TD3. So last time, Donovan got first pick. He's going to third, and we're all moving up a spot. So I got first pick. Mo got second pick. Donovan, you got third pick. You guys know how it works. The only stipulation is we're getting the version of the player when they were on the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only thing that matters.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
First pick overall, give me Emmitt Smith at running back.
That's fine.
Damn.
Got to start with the nice little competitive advantage. I don't think they have a close second. Actually, they do. I forgot. Oops.
So,
Oops. I just remembered.
They got some guys.
Yeah, I just remembered. That wasn't a good pick.
Okay. Next up for me, give me Mike Irving.
Fair.
Michael Irving.
Fair. Pick their best receiver.
Yeah, had to do it.
That's probably the best thing to do because you got to get 2 wide receivers. So it's probably a good pick.
Yeah. You know what? I value. I don't even care about the quarterback position.
Okay.
Michael Irvin talks a lot about number 88.
Okay.
I'm getting playmaker after playmaker. Give me Dez Bryant and give me CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, okay. Doubling up.
Damn. Dez and CD. All right. He already solidified his spot. Fuck. All right, cool. We both said, all right. Panicking now.
Damn. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
All right.
Your turn, Mo.
All right. Fuck.
You still got some guys.
Yeah, I do. But it's not necessarily the guys that I wanted. You know what? Go ahead and give me...
Can I interest you in Miles Austin?
No. Yes, we got some other positions too.
Go ahead and give me Drew Pearson.
Okay.
All he's doing is just building the 90s Cowboys.
I know. I'm building
what works, man.
I'm going to pick Terrell Owens. Thank God Mo didn't pick him.
Fuck.
Give me T.O.
My first fumble on this goddamn show.
Yeah, Shit. First fumble. Had at least one amazing year at the Cowboys. And then, thank God this fell to me. Give me their greatest tight end of all time. Give me Jason Witten.
I don't care about that.
Listen, the tight end pool is not deep.
No, it's just him. But, like, it's fine.
All right, Mo, here you go. Going back to you. You got to fill your onesie positions.
Okay, cool. Onesie position. Fuck, you got Jason Witten? Shit. All right.
I don't know who the tight end 2 is.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know this right now. Don't mess up. Don't let me get this because I really can. I can win this draft if you let me.
I know you can. I know you can.
I'm not. I know what you're getting at. I'm praying that he knows what you're getting at. I'm not going to give him any pointers.
I think I know where he's going at too. I'm just going to do what's true to my heart. All right, what's true to my fucking heart. At my tight end position, go ahead and give me Jay Novak.
That's Novacek?
Novacek.
He messed up.
Was that a fumble?
He messed up. He just gave me the keys.
Novacek.
I think I know where
Novacek is true to his heart.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I know where I fucked up at.
At my running back position, I could pick a Hall of Famer, but I'm just gonna take the guy that I specifically watched. Give me rookie Ezekiel Elliott at running back.
Oh, okay. I did not think you were gonna do that. Okay,
cool.
And then at my quarterback position,
it's funny how no one touched quarterback at all.
I'm going to take Troy Aikman.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have him.
Damn.
And you know why? Yeah, I'm not going to take the other two guys.
Yeah, the guys you grew up hating?
The guys who never win playoff games. the guys who choke away the season every single year. Yeah, I don't want that. I'll take the guy with 3 Super Bowl rings.
You'll take the winner?
Goddamn. All right, so for my quarterback position, give me beloved, one of the greatest play-by-play guys now also too, Tony Romo.
Okay. Tony Romo.
The heel turn that people have done on Tony Romo is hilarious.
Really?
Because he was just known as like a choker for his whole career. And everyone's like, oh, I miss Tony Romo. Like Dak has done a number on that franchise.
Yeah, people remember him with rose tinted glasses. But honestly, he was overhated in the moment. People, you have to know how I feel about people that get slandered for team success. Sounds like somebody else that spent a lot of time defending. But that's a good pick. Give me Roger Staubach.
Okay.
Give me their fucking legendary quarterback. And then...
No Dakota Rain?
I don't even know who that is.
Dak?
I forgot his name was Dakota. I thought you just
Dak Prescott?
I thought you just pulled out a deep cut, and I was like, I don't know who that is. Wide receiver 2. Fuck. You know what?
Do it.
George Pickens?
You got a guy.
Fuck.
You just threw me a lifeline. Give me George Pickens at wide receiver 2.
Who were you going to pick?
I was going to pick Miles Austin. Because I couldn't think of anybody else.
Y'all sleep on Amari Cooper, man.
Oh, yeah. Well,
nope. George Pickens was
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Damn. You threw me a lifeline. Because I was blanking on wide receiver 2s.
I gotta tighten
George
up on my
Pickens
goddamn...
is a polar bear in Arlington. We have Hall of Famers, team legends, and George Pickens, who hasn't played a snap for the Cowboys.
Well, it's not like Amari Cooper is a legend either, so I don't think it's not a gigantic fumble.
Oh, man. All right. So, you know what? Someone who comes straight to memory when I think about my prime Dallas Cowboy watching era. Sounds disgusting. DeMarco Murray.
Yep.
Welcome to my team.
Nobody picked Dorsett. Okay. Donovan.
Yeah.
Who was the last tight end taken? Good luck. You want to talk about polar bears in Arlington, Texas? Who you put in a tight end?
Hey, man, listen, Dalton Schultz, he's done some things.
This is a penguin in Arlington, Texas.
Dalton Schultz, welcome to my team.
Who won this draft?
It's easily me.
I don't know if it is easily you. I had the best running back, the best quarterback, the best tight end.
You have the worst quarterback out of...
I had the most legendary quarterback. I don't know. I mean,
what is that?
We're comparing across
Shout out,
eras.
listen, if you are a quarterback in the 70s, salute.
Shout out to your legacy.
Salute.
I mean, I had the most accomplished quarterback, by far the best running back. Actually, not by far the best tight end. Novacek is accomplished, but best tight end. Listen, T.O. versus Michael Irvin, I don't know. That's a debate. It's not like this is prime T.O., but it's T.O.
CD Lamb is my wide receiver too. Like I'm here.
Now do the rest of the positions.
I'm here.
You got a game management quarterback. You have
Damn.
a worse running back than me, a way worse tight end than me, a way worse wide receiver one than me. Actually, not way worse. Prime Des. You know, you can keep up with Cowboys T.O.
I'm not gonna speak ill on Emmett right now, but understand that given situations, Ezekiel could have did very similar things
For that 1 year before he fell off, yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for.
All you need is 16 games.
That's it.
Fair enough. Next thing we're going to do, let's have some legacy talk.
Okay. We should do some Hall of Fame talk. I want to name some wide receivers, and I want to ask you guys if they should make the Hall of Fame.
Okay. So this is former and current wide receivers?
Yep. Mix of both. Same old, same old. This is our first go at it. I want to see where your heads lie.
I love legacy talk. Let's go. Cross-sport legacy talk.
Number 1, Antonio Brown.
Do not get fooled by Twitter.
Yep.
Do not get fooled by alleged CTE. This man is a hooper. This man is a straight baller. This is a Hall of Famer.
Unless they want to Pete Rose him and say we're not letting you in for moral reasoning because you're a horrible person, if that was to be the case, fine. Who am I to disagree? But on the merit of on the field, the clearest Hall of Famer.
And if that's the case, there's a lot of people in the NFL Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in. If we are, like you said, we're strictly talking about on-field production. Antonio Brown at his peak is one of the best receivers we've ever seen. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
If you have 5 All-Pro selections, you're probably going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the easy one. I feel like that's the easy one.
Very easy.
Next up, Mike Evans.
Quintessential debate. Just listen. People want to put him there, obviously, for longevity, for consistency, for doing something nobody's ever done before. 11 1,000-yard seasons to start your career.
Yep. Barely made it this past year.
I understand it. I respect it. I kind of feel like you should probably be at the best in your position for at least a year if you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, there has to be at least some top end of the position dominance. So I don't know. I don't want to say no, but it's not a resounding yes for me.
I'm going to say no. What? I'm going to say no for the same reason. I do think that there should be at least a season where we look at you and say 2013 Mike Evans, 2016 Mike Evans, whatever. That is a problem.
But is it a problem with him, or is just like the other guys around him are just like that?
Okay, well, it's not a problem with him. You said you should look at him and say it's a problem. Mike Evans is a problem. Mike Evans is a fantastic player, one of the best contested catch receivers.
Wrong verbiage, but like to be the number 1 receiver in the league, we've never thought that about Mike Evans.
Yeah. And maybe that is just because he played at the same time as he played it during Antonio Brown's prime, now Justin Jefferson's prime. He crossed into different number 1 guys' primes that were clearly above him. So maybe that's not his fault, but he's just not. He's extremely good. He doesn't have the top end speed, the top end route running, the top end of most skills. Fantastic big body, contested catch receiver, can move around the formations. Incredible weapon, but there was never a second where I don't even know if he was top 3 wide receiver in the NFL at any point.
That's tough.
He probably finished top 3 in receiving yards at some point if I'm blanking, but I'm sure there's players that would still pick over him in that season.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I got to keep you out.
But I do respect.
He's been top 5 consistently throughout his career, which is, I guess that's another
He's been
question.
top 10 consistently throughout his career. He's had spurts to top 5, but he's consistently been top 10 for 11 years, which is a long time. So I do kind of respect that. I think you can make a Hall of Fame case for doing something incredibly unique that nobody else has ever done. This stretch of 1,000-yard receiving seasons is insane. So like, if you want to tell me that you're just giving him a different reason to get in than most guys, I don't think that's crazy.
If I was to let him in, it was simply because of longevity reasons.
And like, okay, if he gets into the Hall of Fame, it's going to be one of those situations where they're going to make him wait forever. And he's going to be on his last, 2-3 years of being eligible to get into the Hall. And then they'll be like, all right, Mike Evans, welcome. That's gonna be the case. There's no way that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay.
I
like that. Tyreek Hill.
Another Antonio Brown situation. If you want to say you don't respect it for moral reasonings, I will not disagree with you. In fact, I will agree with you. But on the field, the better conversation for me is this a top 10 receiver of all time? That's like the conversation Tyreek is going to enter himself into when he's retired. Okay. Hall of Fame is without a doubt.
So a resounding hell yes. Donovan had no thoughts yet.
It's a yes. It's a yes. There's so few players who, as soon as they are on the field, break the shape of how defenses play, of how the field works and is tilted. Tyreek is, when he's at his peak, and the fact that he got to be at his peak with also Patrick Mahomes, we got to see some of the best like wide receiver production.
He had 1,700 yards with Tua Tagovailoa throwing to him.
Brother, he's game breaking. He makes no sense.
There's been very few receivers ever that have their high end skill be so impactful for an offense. Like, it's not just amazing route running, amazing hands. He can get his numbers. Like, he is a weapon to a degree most offensive players are nowhere close to.
Okay, that's Arizona, yes. Next, we got A.J. Brown.
Donovan.
Ooh.
Obviously,
listen, his story is not finished being okay?
Deliver the bad news to him, please.
So, yeah, obviously he's not retired yet. Do you think he's
Yeah.
on pace? Is the better conversation.
Yeah, I think
3 second-team All-Pros, not a single first team. 3 Pro Bowls. No 1,500-yard seasons.
Damn.
we're going to get there.
When? Like, how? Time is
Well,
ticking.
first of all, they've been add that 18th game. We're going to get to 1,500, buddy. I'm going to let you know that right now. But
We're gonna crush the numbers.
yeah. But it is very, very clear, like, especially right now, like A.J. Brown is a top 3 receiver in the league. You could probably expect that for the next, like, 2 to 3 years. So you're going to have that peak stretch from him. He's going to have some chips under his belt, multiple
Chips.
Right.
This is the NBA. Who gives
Sure.
a fuck?
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
it doesn't mean anything.
He's going to be a major part of that. I do think that you're going to see a good case for him.
That's a whole lot of words for no man.
Career.
Answered no.
Whole lot of words for no man.
He's quintessential. I think going to be like just below that. He's in the type
Similar
of guy.
to Mike, not Mike Evans, but Mike Evans in a different way.
Mike Evans might make it. So I don't
Yeah.
know. But I think AJ Brown's like the quintessential guy. We're gonna look back at 15 years and be like,
might
yo, remember AJ Brown? Those 6 years were crazy.
Yeah.
And it won't be documented in history in the Hall of Fame, but it'll be like, oh, we remember AJ Brown.
Okay.
Don't do
Okay.
him like that.
That's a great compliment. You know, we sit down and we're like, bro, you remember Doug Martin? You remember so and so?
Don't you ever put AJ Brown in?
No, but it's like, remember LaShawn McCoy? I don't think LaShawn McCoy is a Hall of Famer, but LaShawn McCoy is like, yo, he was nice.
You're disrespectful.
That's not that disrespectful.
You're disrespectful.
No, I'm not. I don't think that's disrespectful.
You have everything, man. Julian Edelman.
Fact, he has everything. They want a Super Bowl. He's greedy. Eagles fans are so fucking greedy. They want all the legacy conversations and a Super Bowl.
You guys are
Because
wrong
every
with
step of the
football.
way, people like to disrespect everybody on the team. Now, Julian Edelman, he can be in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Damn.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame, no.
He had so many clutch moments for the Patriots.
Shout out to him.
That's Patriots Hall of Fame.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly what that's
Very-
where you remember
yes.
moments.
Very meaningful for the team. No Pro Bowls. Mac Jones has made a Pro Bowl.
Damn.
There's been, dude, what's his name? That backup quarterback from the Ravens.
Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley made a Pro Bowl.
If you can't get a Pro Bowl, all right, man.
He just shows up for the big moments.
It's
That's
a
all
personal
it is.
problem.
Yeah, and then shout out, if there's ever anybody to attach yourself to get your legacy push forward forever, it's Tom Brady. So, like, good for him for being the exact right space to be remembered forever. The Patriots will remember you forever. Doesn't mean the Hall of Fame has to.
I will too. You're a Hall of Famer in my heart.
Yeah, well, your heart stinks.
Next, we got Chad Ochocinco.
2 first-team All-Pros, 2 second-team All-Pros.
He is a Hall of Famer.
Hell yes.
He is a Hall of Famer. He should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he gave himself a gold jacket because he knows they're gonna politic him out of the Hall of Fame for years and years and years. It doesn't matter. What
Okay.
he did on the field, different.
So in your eyes, you'd pick him for sure.
Yeah, we have the same Hall of Fame.
Why do you have reserves?
He's in my Hall of Fame, and I subscribe to his.
Okay, so you subscribe to everything Chad Ochocinco says?
Oh. Don't say anything so fast. He said some crazy
Stay
things.
with me now. He's a Hall of Famer.
Fair enough.
Okay, Julio Jones.
Without a doubt, right?
Easily.
I don't know. Will he be first ballot?
Yeah, in my mind, he
Yeah.
damn near
Yeah,
should be.
like without a doubt. Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer. This is another
Yeah.
one that's not a conversation. One of the most physically dominant wide receivers
He's a
of all
fucking
time.
freak, man. He makes no sense.
Yeah, some of it got overshadowed by him playing at the same time as Calvin Johnson, who was like the physical specimen of all time. Julio Jones is like 85% of that.
The only reason why Julio Jones is not thought to be in that category is because he just wasn't catching touchdowns at the same rate that everybody else was. But in terms of like crazy contested catches, yards, just doing everything else that receivers do, he's up there with the best of them.
3 1,500-yard seasons before they added the extra game. He got it ethically. Yeah, he's up there.
Man, the leaping ability from him too on some of these catches back in the day, special.
Yeah. Only 2 first-team All-Pros, but like this is the definition of you play at the same time as Calvin Johnson and Antonio Brown, but you were just as good to be first team.
I agree. Next, we got DeAndre Hopkins.
I think so. I think eventually he's going to get into the Hall of Fame.
Eventually, but not first ballot.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna have to wait. But if you look at the All Pros, he has as many All Pros as people who are in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
He has one less Pro Bowl appearance than Randy Moss.
Okay.
Like the accolades, that's there. There was a time where you could look at DeAndre Hopkins and say, yeah, that's probably the best receiver in the league. And he was doing it without great quarterback.
That's why he's going to make it. His legacy will be he got it out the mud through one of the worst supporting casts ever. When you talk about, not supporting cast, but one of the worst pass throwers ever.
Just say his name.
No, it's not his name. There's like 8 names of people that gave him nothing. They rotated quarterbacks in and out. As soon as between Matt Schaub and Nasty Man, it was a slew of bullshit that DeAndre Hopkins found a way to get 1,000 yards with every single one of them.
And it's very fitting because it's very Andre Johnson-esque.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. Like, listen, the Texans have had bad quarterback play for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And they both have outstanding receivers that got out the mud. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be first ballot, but he probably will make it.
Yeah, he'll be remembered as one of those guys that has more respect even than his accolades.
Okay. Odell Beckham Jr. He just retired. Come on now. Whoa. He had very iconic moments when we were all in like 9th grade.
That's what I'm saying. If you asked me in 2016 when I was hitting the whip, I would say, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer. But you take a step back from the career and you're just like, man, injuries suck.
Yeah. Was he a Hall of Fame talent? Yes.
Absolutely.
Would he have gotten there if his knees didn't explode and give up? Maybe. You never know. Maybe not guaranteed, but maybe.
That was guaranteed. If he didn't get hurt, that is a Hall of Fame.
And like 3 Pro Bowls is a good amount. 2 second team All Pros is still a good amount for the limited window he had, but the longevity just wasn't there.
That's so depressing. He popularized so much shit.
You're gonna cry over Odell Beckham Jr.'s career?
We got to pour one out.
This is like the guy for our generation to remember, like, what could have been.
Injuries suck.
We were robbed.
He's not as good as Bo Jackson, but I feel like our generation is going to remember him in the same, not to the level, but like the face of like, if you would have seen him back then, if he didn't get hurt, he would have been great.
Man, don't get me started on Bo Jackson.
In his prime, I guess for the 2010s, where would he rank as a
his
wide
prime?
Receiver? Yeah,
man, there's some good receivers in the 2010s.
In his prime, I would take Odell like top 5.
Yeah, it'd be like 5th or 6th because there were some insane receivers. Like you had Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones. Off rip.
That's insane, bro. If he's in those conversations,
he's not. He's right behind those conversations.
Yeah.
So like he's probably like 5th or 6th for the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not bad. Justin Jefferson. It's early, I know, but he's so impressive already.
Low key. If he retired, so he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame by the time he's done. Yeah. If he retired today, he'd have a case.
That's insane.
4 Pro Bowls, 4 All Pro selections, and the only. Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame.
Dude, as of today, I think he has the highest average yards per game of somebody's career.
That's ridiculous.
He's like just under 100 for his career average. This he might have a Hall of Fame case already through 5 seasons.
That's insane.
Like so, it's not even a question of he's similar to what we said with Tyreek, where like the conversations will be far higher than is he a Hall of Famer? It'll be like whatever your number is of all time great, 10, whatever it is, he's gonna be pushing those conversations.
Yeah, at this point, it's. How many Pro Bowls, how many All Pros can you just stack up?
Yeah.
Because he's going to be in that conversation every single year unless he gets hurt.
The pace he's on is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's an easy yes. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, not even a conversation.
And that's it.
Okay.
I like what you guys have for me when it comes to those answers. Next up, we are going to go ahead and do another TD3 staple, bring it over here to the house call. I have a slew of players, not now, but based on their baby pictures, and I want you guys to tell me who this player is.
Okay, we gotta see how well we know children.
Exactly. Nasty Mans, you guys are on watch.
It's insane.
That was a terrible sentence.
That's insane. But okay, obviously, I think we're pretty good at this with NBA players. We spend a lot of time looking at their faces.
He is.
He's amazing.
I'm awful.
Football's a little bit different. You don't see their faces
they wear helmets.
often as much, of course. But I made it a little bit easier for you guys. I think I have all elite players in this list.
Okay, you didn't pull out like CJ Gardner-Johnson's baby picture.
I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything like that.
Okay.
All right. So first up, we got this kid right here. He's grinning.
He's happy.
Happy as hell.
This old ass picture.
I know they be telling him, "Show your teeth, boy." His grandma in the corner.
So this is an old picture. Who is this? Jerry Rice?
No, it's not.
This is an old ass picture.
Okay.
70s, 80s?
He looks like no, not 70s, 80s. He looks like Kevin Garnett in this picture. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Is this Antonio Brown?
No, it's not Antonio Brown. He played on the offensive side though.
It kind of looks like Antonio Brown.
One of the greatest of all time at his position.
Is this Julio Jones?
No.
Is it Terrell
He
Owens?
has big eyes. Not Terrell Owens too.
It's a wide receiver, right?
No, it's not a wide
damn.
receiver. It's not a wide receiver.
Who is this man?
He does big things on the field.
Big things on the field.
Yep.
So this is a running back.
Oh, is this Shannon Sharp?
Yes, Shannon Sharp. Yes. Shay. Goddamn smile, man.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I should have stuck with my guns. This old ass picture. This had to be something from the 90s. You made me think it wasn't for a second. I was trying to cheat and like read your body language. I was thinking it wasn't old. This makes total sense.
There we go. Yeah, he perfectly fit into his face. That head was big, man.
That looks like a certain actor that I won't say because people will.
Next up, who is this baby?
I don't know.
Menacing.
So this looks like it's the late 90s or early 2000s baby, maybe?
Maybe. This is a
This baby's
generic
retired.
black baby.
I'll
Look
say
at that
that.
sweater. That's a 2000s baby. I mean 90s baby for sure.
This baby's retired.
Retired 90s baby.
I don't think he's a 90s baby. Nope, he's older than that.
Oh, is this an 80s picture?
It just looks big. This looks like it looks like a Ray Lewis baby.
Oh my God, how'd you guess that?
That's Ray Lewis.
Yes, it's Ray Lewis. Yo, you're on watch, buddy. Keep on going.
I was not gonna get that.
I got something for you. Keep on talking.
Yeah, man.
What the fuck?
There was no world in which I was gonna get Ray
That was
Lewis
the
on this.
first guess. I was like, yeah, I got these boys in hell. You got an off rip? Oh man, he knows
That
kids.
baby's too young for me to have any idea who that is.
Yeah, keep him away.
That's crazy. I don't even see it. Looking at it side by side.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I was like, but that's Ray Ray? Damn.
Okay.
Who is this baby?
Now listen, there are few physical features in this world that are as recognizable as that motherfucking forehead. This is Peyton Manning.
Damn.
That is Peyton Manning. I see that forehead, I immediately know.
You can discover that for it from like 20 miles away. God damn.
And he
man.
looks like he's wearing a Saints jersey, probably his dad's jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
That's easy. Okay.
Dude, that forehead's
He's
crazy.
diabolical.
He looks the same.
Oh man.
Same haircut.
Did he have to wear like a special helmet?
He didn't wear a lot of sunscreen, I'll tell you that.
Okay. That's a lot of sunscreen, man. Who is this baby?
Once again, few features as recognizable as that haircut. This is Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh, okay. Damn.
that right?
You got it off. Yeah, you got it off rip.
Got
Shit.
I knew it.
I thought it was gonna be harder than
I can
that.
see it in the eyes. That's Patrick Mahomes.
Dome of the century. Holy shit. It's not enough hair for that head.
Yeah, he came out quite.
Or not enough
Patchy.
head for that. Yeah, god damn. Patchy is
You also see in the ears. This is one of the easiest ones you see in the face.
I was about to say Derek White.
Okay.
You pull out the quarterbacks, it's gonna be easy.
All right. Next up, who is this player?
My first thought is like Luke Kuechly.
No, not Luke Kuechly.
He's wearing number 71. Is that a lineman?
No,
Nah.
but it's it's Pop Warner football. They just hand out numbers.
This is a little harder for you guys.
This is a lineman, right?
No,
No?
not a lineman. Plays defense.
It's not Luke Kuechly. Is this JJ Watt?
No, not
Okay.
White defender though.
not Luke Kuechly at all.
Where are we going?
He was in a Super Bowl over the last 10 years. Played for a high-end team specifically over the last 6-7 years.
A defender, you said, right?
Yep.
This is hard. This is just a white person. This should be easy because he's older. He's a teenager. This should be easy. I feel like
Are we gonna be mad at ourselves if we don't get it?
I think you should be.
it's not JJ Watt. It's not Luke Kuechly.
Wait, you say he played in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played in the Super Bowl.
Okay. If we go back throughout all the
He was drafted in 2019.
Oh.
then why does this picture look like that?
I thought he was a little bit older.
He was born around the same time as us.
Oh, okay. I was thinking way older than
No,
that.
no.
Okay, so drafted in 2019. Of course, I'm blanking on the 2019 draft.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Here's another.
Oh, is it Nick Bosa?
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
Okay. Easy
That
one.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have saw the nose.
Who are these babies?
There's two
We
of
got
them.
two of them.
Brothers. I can
Yep.
only think of one white brother duo in the NFL that has some notoriety that he would pull up.
Talk to me.
Smells like some Kelseys to me.
Damn. It's a Kelsey.
Smells
You
like some
smell it from a mile
podcasters.
away. Some of
Is
the
that-
greatest.
Is that Travis in the back?
No, actually, Travis is in the front.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Jason's
I see
in the
it.
back.
Pretty boy
makes
in the
sense.
front.
Yeah.
Grungy guy frowning in the back. That makes sense.
Look at the eyes. Like Kelsey's eyes or Jason's eyes don't change at all.
The eyebrows.
Yeah,
Same.
that overshadow is crazy.
Just the thickest eyebrows of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's easy because it's twins. If I didn't know it was twins, though, if you just showed me the left baby, I don't know if I would have got Travis Kelce.
Really?
I would have been struggling.
Yeah, maybe I should have split them up. Okay.
Yeah, he should have split up for sure.
Who is this baby?
He looks worried. He looks stressed the fuck out.
He does not look worried.
Okay.
Oh man,
We're in a Jordan
jersey.
jersey.
A lot of hair.
This looks like, was it 2000s baby?
It looks like like a late 90s, early 2000s.
A lot of hair. I would have said Troy Polamalu, but I think that baby's black. So that's not Troy Polamalu.
The child is definitely black.
I mean, Islanders, like the skin tone not that different, but
Oh my goodness.
He was drafted in this decade.
In this decade? 2020s?
In the 2020s.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Drafted in the 2020s. Is this...
And he plays on offense.
It looks like Jonathan Taylor.
Nah, not Jonathan
Not
Taylor.
Nah.
It's not. I didn't think it was him.
Could this
Is Bijan?
No, not Bijan.
a lot of hair? Could this be Justin Jefferson? Or
No,
it's too dark.
this is a light skinned baby.
It's not
Grew
Jamar
up to be
Chase.
light skinned too. No, not Jamar Chase.
Grew up to be light skinned?
Yep. He plays on offense too.
Grew up to be light skinned, plays on offense.
On a really good team.
on a really, really good team.
It's not Saquon drafted before then. It's not
Saquon.
on a really good team.
In the 2020s.
He's one of the best at his position too.
What are we talking about here?
Well, it's not Justin Jefferson, like you said. It's not Jamar Chase. It's obviously not the CD. It's not Amon-Ra.
Oh, wait. I got it.
Who is it?
You got it?
This is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
That's Jalen.
What just
That's Jalen.
kicked you into it?
No, I got another look. I was like, nah. Never mind.
Yeah, I would not have got that.
That baby looked like he got some wisdom. Of course, it's Jalen.
That's a wise baby.
Exactly.
Okay.
Who is this baby?
Oh my God.
Stiff armored already. Holy shit.
Is this Lamar Jackson?
No, it's not Lamar Jackson.
Older than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is an old baby.
I don't know. He looks a little wild.
Is it Adrian Peterson?
No, nope, not at all.
This baby's giving running back.
I fucked up by saying stiff arming, so yes, it's a running back.
Is Jerome Bettis? Oh, you did say stiff arming.
Yeah.
I didn't put that together.
The baby's kind of big. Derrick Henry?
Fuck.
No.
Dude, you're on a roll.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was an older picture than that.
Yep, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, see, that's where my mind went, but I was
Yeah.
like, that's a 90s looking picture.
That baby look aggressive already.
That baby looks strong. Look at his fist.
Exactly.
That's what I'm already out.
Like,
Just yoked.
yeah.
That baby can beat you to arm wrestle. Next thing we're going to do, let's talk about some fantasy football talk.
Ooh, this is you guys' bag. And
It is.
also, I hope you guys know this. You guys got to be on 10 because this year, a lot of people are going to rely on you guys based off of their fantasy football.
Don't.
They're going to be relying on you. And
Don't.
we're going to get insane hate comments because of you guys.
Don't.
So, which
You can. As a person who is a reigning fantasy football champion, you can.
how many years have you been in fantasy football?
Listen, I have a chip. Don't
How
disrespect
many years though?
I have a chip.
Goddamn.
I have a chip. I have a title.
Which NFL rookie would you rather have in NFL fantasy this year?
Everyone has a chip.
Nah, not everybody has a chip.
If you start playing fantasy football like a year ago, maybe not.
Not everybody has a chip.
Not really.
How many leagues do you be in year to year too?
Multiple.
Yeah, multiple. Multiple, obviously.
Okay.
Oh man. So I have a slew of NBA or NFL rookies for you guys. And I want to know which one would you rather have in your fantasy team
Okay. For just
this
this
year. For just this year specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got Amarion Hampton versus Trayvon Henderson.
I'm going with Hampton on this one.
If it's dynasty, obviously I want Hampton. Just this year, you could tell me that Najee Harris is going to get in the way and Trayvon Henderson's going to get the passing downs because he's such a good blocker. Maybe he has a better floor. But I still want Hampton. I want to play for the second half of the season where he's obviously going to be the starter. Give me Hampton.
Shout out to the Patriots for winning the offseason, for upgrading. They still got to prove to me that they can block.
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
right.
the Chargers, as many issues as they can, Jim Harbaugh is going to want to run the football.
Yeah.
So I'll take Hampton.
Yeah, we can talk a lot about how the Patriots are going to be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Being better is a long way from being a great offense. And in general, you don't want running backs on bad offenses.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm writing this down also. Because this is my first year fan.
Write that down. Write that down.
Go ahead. Next up, we got Travis Hunter versus Ted McMillan.
McKillen.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I think Tet.
I'm going Ted too.
Yeah, I know when Dynasty rankings came around right after the draft, Travis Hunter was flying up the boards. People were excited. There's a world where if he plays like 100% or 80% of the offensive snaps, he could be better. But I think the floor of Ted McMillan is so much better. I'd take that risk.
If we're just talking about fantasy, having the guy who plays wide receiver full time versus like as a football player, being able to be a solid wide receiver 2 and then a great corner, that's awesome. But if you are going to walk in, probably be wide receiver 1, I'm going to take 10.
I am a little bit scared on everybody assuming that the quarterback play is going to be good next year because of the strong end of the season last year. But if we're going to continue to give Bryce credit and say that we're going to believe he can be competent, then yeah, I think I want the wide receiver one in a Dave Canales scheme.
Okay, you guys, that's pretty resounding. That's actually shocking for some.
If Brian Thomas Jr. was on the Titans, I mean on the
Panthers.
Panthers, it would be the other way around.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Next up, we got Colston Loveland versus Tyler Warren.
I'm going to go with the team that just got the offensive mastermind and one that has a quarterback that I can say he's actually going to be there.
Yeah, he'll be. We know that he can throw the football. At the very minimum, if you feel how you feel about Caleb last year, he can execute plays. He will throw the football. I do not know if Anthony Richardson can do that consistently, and I damn sure don't know if Daniel Jones can do that consistently.
I know Daniel Jones can do that consistently. So no, I'm not doing that.
Both rooms have a lot of competition at wide receiver. I think I'll go for the one that I know will be a good offense.
Okay.
Or knock on wood, that I think will be a good offense.
Again, my rent is on the line for a year, so I'll let you
Give me
have
Colston
that.
Loveland.
All right, Colston Loveland it is. Next up, we got Luther Burden versus Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden, and I don't think it's close. I think like Luther Burden is gonna have to fit into an offense. If Colston Loveland is good, that's gonna mean a little bit less touches for Luther Burden. You still have to operate with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, all those guys. Matthew Golden, everybody's been saying before he even got drafted, the Packers need him. He can change their offense. I like him in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the only path to Luther being a top 15 wide receiver this year in fantasy is injuries, probably. If DJ Moore gets hurt and like Luther just like steps in that role, or if he's like a superstar from day one, which is always possible. There's many instances in which Matthew Golden can be a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy without anything going wrong for anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, that's safe.
Yeah, he should
That's
step into a large target share. They need his exact skill set. They're going to feed that. Jordan Love's been dying to have a consistent wide receiver that can win deep. Golden should I think would be shocked if he wasn't a top 24 wide receiver this year.
Okay. Next up, we got Shedeur Sanders versus Jackson Dart.
If you're starting either of these guys in fantasy, you're down bad.
It's rough.
You did poorly in your draft.
I mean, listen, the rest of your roster has to be looking crazy. If these guys are your QB,
I don't know. I think if this is your options you're at, your confidence level is not very high.
yeah, you can't go into the draft with a no QB strategy. You can do no RB, not no.
You can do no QB and still have a higher bar than Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart.
Give me a name. My money's on the line.
There's no world where I'm gonna want the fourth quarterback on the Browns that is gonna like have to beat a lot of people to even get the job. Like you could tell me there's a scenario where Shedeur starts 2 games this year. Like
Fuck.
I just don't know if he's gonna have the opportunity.
I'm going with Shedeur. I'm going with Shedeur. Yes, he has to beat out 3 other people. Those 3 other people also suck.
Stink. They all
Yeah, let's see how fast they flame out, honestly.
Yeah, and I would be shocked if Jackson Dart doesn't get an opportunity to start at some point this year. And listen, he has Malik Neighbors. He has a dabble. It's not the worst outcome in the world. He can run a little bit.
Yeah.
If Shedeur Sanders can't beat out Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Joe Flacco, he deserved to go in the 5th round. Right? I have full confidence that he is going to, start sooner than Jackson Dart, and that he'll be better than
You think he's going to start sooner than Jackson Dart?
Those other 3 are not good quarterbacks.
Man, this is an in the mud conversation we're having right now.
You're down bad either way.
They're not good.
Okay, next up, we got Caleb Johnson versus RJ Harvey.
This is a hard one for me. I feel extremely confident Caleb Johnson will get volume to give him a good floor. You know, everyone talks about Sean Payton offense. These running backs have to catch passes. If you tell me RJ Harvey PPR scams his way to a higher point, I could see that. So I don't know for this year.
And for that reason, I'm going RJ Harvey. I think like the Broncos and Bo Nix, they schemed up checkdowns so much.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, that is his game. And so if you can have a running back who can be a part of that passing attack, I'm going to go with RJ Harvey.
Yes, especially because Jalen Warren's obviously can take a lot of the passing third downs from Caleb Johnson, whereas RJ Harvey's probably going to be their main third down back. So if you're in full PPR, you should probably go RJ Harvey.
Okay. Next up, we got Cam Ward versus Emeka Egbuka.
Cross position. Okay.
This
This is tough. They're both going to get a lot of opportunity day one.
It is tough, but I think I'm gonna go Emeka Egbuka. I think like Cam can be good. We still have no idea what that situation is gonna look like in Tennessee. There's a lot of unknowns, and for where you would probably draft him, you could probably find a comparable QB. I think Egbuka is going to enter a top 10 offense. Chris Godwin is coming back from injury. Mike Evans, he missed some games last year. basically everybody on that roster missed games, and Mike Evans was the only one to get to over 1,000 yards. There's food to be eaten there.
Yeah.
And everybody loves him. I think he can step in and do some work.
I love the floor over there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to be a quarterback as a rookie and have like to be an impactful fantasy quarterback. You got to be like a top 5 or 6 quarterback. Otherwise, you kind of blend in with the pack of 11 through 20 in the league. Like you pick whichever one, it's not gonna be a huge difference. So I don't think Cam Ward is gonna be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. That'd be quite hard to do with that supporting cast. Ibuka has a chance to be a top 24 wide receiver and have a bigger impact.
Okay, that's fair. I think that was kind of easy. Next, we got Trey Harrison versus Jaden Higgins.
Trey Harris.
Ooh, okay, there we go. Next up, we got Trey Harris versus Jaden Higgins.
I'll go Jaden Higgins just because the Texans need. Well, I guess they both need receiver depth, but we've seen Nico get hurt from time to time, so I do think that there's going to be a little bit more opportunity for Higgins to step in and have wide receiver one days, as opposed to Trey Harris trying to overtake Ladd McConkey.
Give me Trey Harris. I think I want the guy in a play action heavy offense that likes to throw deep. That's all Greg Roman wants to do. He wants to run the ball and take deep shots. I think Trey Harris is going to step in and be by far their best deep threat. Shout out Ladd McConkey. He's going to be their best fantasy option, but for specifically deep threat, it's going to be Trey Harris. I think it's a way more realistic path to him being the main wide receiver 2 than we do have for Jaden Higgins.
Okay.
And it's really just about who they're playing with.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Kyle Williams versus Quinshawn Judkins.
Who wants the running back on the Browns or the wide receiver 1 for Drake May? I wonder which one.
It's kind of obvious.
It's nobody.
Yeah.
Even though that I picked Shador, I'm not picking Shador on my team. I'm just saying out of that option, that's what I would rather have. I don't want anybody on the Browns on my fantasy team.
But he's gonna get a lot of opportunity. So I was joking because the Browns suck, but this is actually kind of hard, just because Diggs is gonna be there. We'll see what he can give them. Well, again, Kyle Williams is a rookie. We think he's gonna be really good, but Quinshawn Judkins will be the starting running back on the team. That's obviously valuable in fantasy. I don't know.
Give me Kyle Williams.
I'm going Kyle Williams.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I feel like he has a higher ceiling, I think.
It's tough. It's definitely tough. All right, I got to get a little creative for this one because to some, it may seem obvious. But I got Ashton Genty versus Amarion Hampton, Tyler Warren, and McMillan.
Give me Ashton
Give me
Genty.
3 combined. You're still taking Ashton?
Genty. Ashton Genty's probably going to be a top 3 running back in fantasy this year.
Oh, my gosh.
This is ridiculous. this is ridiculous. If you're taking Genty, so you think Genty is going to be like a top 12 player?
He's been drafted. His
like
ADP is like back in the first round right now. People are. That's what people think. That's the consensus right now. You know what? I don't think it's crazy.
That way, if you feel that way, fine. I think the combination of Tet and Omarion should be good enough. Yeah. I'm gonna take the trio over at Genty.
Give me Ashton Genty.
Oh, you're a munch. That just shows utmost confidence, man. Yep. I like it. That was fun. Next up, I have a slew of teams for you. I got every single division in NFL, and I want to know who's going to be the most improved team.
Okay.
All right. So first off, we're starting with the AFC North. You got the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Steelers, and the Bengals. It's
very hard because all of those teams were like really, really good. Yeah. But I guess I'm gonna take the team that missed the playoffs and just say that they're going to be better. That they're not going to start off horrendously. I'm gonna say the Bengals.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I don't think we're going to project a successful Brown season. Yeah. And obviously the Ravens can't be that much better. They're the best teams in the NFL. Yeah. And we damn sure know the Steelers are still going to be mid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it has to be the Bengals by default.
Okay.
But I feel good about that answer? Hell no.
Okay. That's fair considering where do we put them during the bucket list yesterday? I think they were like C or D. They didn't do really.
No, we gave them an F for their offseason.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's kind of chalk. I don't think we should go with the Bengals because by that log, you're just like, yeah.
What if I think the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl?
Then that's an improvement.
So that making the most improved team in the division?
Yeah, it really does. If that's your bet,
we're going with the Ravens. I think the Ravens defense will be ridiculous. Their secondary is insanely stacked. This is really because I think the other 3 teams are going to be worse or equal to what they were last year. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the Ravens win by default, even though I think they were already at the pinnacle.
I'm going with Cincinnati.
Okay.
That's all I'm going.
I refuse to say anything good about the Bengals.
That doesn't...
It's not happening. I'm not saying anything good about the Bengals this year.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got the NFC West, the Niners, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals.
the Cardinals are the one that are poised to make the jump. For the last like 2-3 years, the Cardinals have been like, hey, watch out for them. And I think this is one of the first years where it's actually like.
So
real.
I think the Cardinals are going to be the biggest jump in quality of team. So like they're the answer. But the 49ers are probably just not all going to get hurt again. So they'll go back to being good opposed to being the season from hell. So record-wise, it'll probably be the 49ers.
Okay.
But in the spirit of the question, I think the Cardinals will actually be the team that makes strides. Because the 49ers were fake bad last year.
Out of this conference too, who's going to like take the biggest step back to you guys?
In that division?
Yeah.
Probably the Seahawks. I think
naturally.
Yeah, if you trade Geno Smith away and you trade a top 10 quarterback off of your team, yeah, you're probably going to be worse. It's pretty simple.
Who'd have thought?
He's not a believer. Okay. NFC North, we got the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears.
I mean, I hate to feel like I have Stockholm syndrome here, but it's got to be the Bears at some point, right? Like, just eventually, it has to be the Bears.
Keep on thinking it's going to hit, never hits.
This has to be the year. They got Ben Johnson. They have the weapons. They fortify both trenches. Nothing's guaranteed in Chicago. It'll be surprising if it's not them.
That should be the answer.
It should be the answer.
It should be the answer. But you can talk me into Green Bay being one of the most improved, especially if you get a fully healthy season from Jordan Love and you get him a deep threat in Matthew Golden. Wouldn't mind saying that.
Okay. So you're sticking to that?
Yeah, let's go Green Bay.
Just out of fear of being burned again?
Yeah, exactly. He's been burned
I can't trust
times.
these guys.
You can't?
Yeah.
I feel like I can trust Ben Johnson. I'm going to allow myself to believe.
I don't blame you guys.
You gotta show me.
I don't blame y'all. AFC East, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots. It's pretty easy to me.
Considering that half the division took a step back.
Yeah.
One of them is the Bills. We're left with the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations, New England. You won the draft. You're probably going to be the most improved team in your division.
Yeah.
Simply because you're starting from the bottom. You're in the gutter. Like, you're crawling into the street now. You're crawling into competition.
Literally
only
only
go
way
up.
up.
Yeah.
Exactly. NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles, New York, and Washington.
It's probably gonna be the Cowboys.
Similar thing where, like, Dak probably won't get hurt. So, like, you'll just have competency.
Yeah, unless you think that maybe the Commanders might not be better record wise.
Yeah.
But the actual the process of how they play football, if you are a believer in what they've done in the offseason, maybe you could say them. But if we're just going based off of record, Dallas probably is the answer.
I think we disagree. I still feel like the Giants have an argument. I feel like the defense is going to be legit, and that's going to give them a floor. I don't know how to parse the nuance between that and how the Cowboys got better. So I'll let you have the Cowboys. I do not want to have this nasty-ass debate. But I think the Giants I think they'll be a little bit better.
Okay.
Well, who's the quarterback for the Giants?
Russell Wilson.
That's what I'm saying. They have one of the worst 3 quarterback rooms in the league.
Okay.
What if Jackson Dart's a demon? Then what?
Oh, fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
he got it.
I don't believe that.
We got the AFC South, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Titans.
Well, the Titans had the number 1 pick. I don't think they'll have the number 1 pick next year.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
But then, you know what? That's a boring answer because like they're not going to be good, but they'll make improvements. I think in the spirit of the answer is the Jags.
I think that should be the answer for sure.
If Liam Cohen is who we think he is, and if he can make the running game better, get the most out of ETN and Bigsby as a duo, if he can finally put Trevor Lawrence in the position to succeed and get the most out of his talents as a vertical passer, get him going, to live up to some of what we expected from him, I think they'll have one of the better wide receiver duos, especially when you talk about young players. I'll be shocked if they're quite as disastrous.
It's set up for Jacksonville to be the most improved. Not sure if they're going to pull it off.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Jacksonville. But if we're saying a lot of ifs for Jacksonville. On the opposite side for Indy, if Anthony Richardson can put something together, they could.
Something.
Yeah. What does something mean? Just
top 21 quarterback?
Top 21 quarterback. There's like 6 shitters. So that's saying you're better than like 4 competent quarterbacks.
Listen, it was bad last year.
God damn.
It was bad.
All right. The AFC West, we got Kansas, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chargers.
It's the Oakland Raiders.
Should be the Raiders.
The Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so it should be the Raiders. You get a good quarterback. You get a coach that should be better. You get Ashton Genty. You have real weapons now. Your offense at the minimum should be league average.
Okay. That's the easy one.
And Max Crosby should stay healthy and get back to being one of the most dominant players in the NFL.
Yeah.
RIP Christian Wilkins' legs or his feet, but their defense will be back to being better.
Yeah. I can agree with that. There's no real other way where you can see the 3 remaining teams outside of them like get astronomically better.
Yeah, and if I just think that like you have to be better, especially when your coach is not like subtweeting and sending shots at players on Instagram.
That's crazy.
That has to be a real upgrade for the.
That's
for the Raiders.
embarrassing.
I guarantee you,
bro.
Pete Carroll does not have a Twitter. I guarantee you, his ass is not on a smartphone.
Smartphone. We got the NFC South, the Bucks, Saints, Panthers, and the Falcons.
This was hard.
I guess
is it really?
the only team in the spirit of the question is the Panthers because the Falcons and the Bucks both were competing for the division title last year.
Yeah, they were decent.
So you can say you get a full year of whatever you saw towards the end of the year in Bryce Young. You added Tet, you added some pieces on the defense. The improvement from Carolina should be there.
Yeah, it's between them and the Falcons. If you want to have faith in the moves they made in the draft to fortify their pass rush, if you want to have faith that makes a difference and they can go from one of the least talented defenses to 20th, 18th, or something regular,
Yeah.
I think we can see them make a big jump. If you want to say Penix under second year as a full-time starter, or first year as a full-time starter, second year in the league, can be an above-average quarterback, I think we could look up in there like...
Honestly, you're right.
There's a world where they easily win the division if things break right.
You're right. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. Some of the Kirk Cousins games last year were
Yeah.
pitiful.
Like the Panthers definitely got better. I think the ceiling of improvement here with the Falcons is probably better.
Yeah.
Damn, no Saints mention?
Fuck no.
I'm trolling. And that's every single division.
Okay, there we go. Last thing we're going to do before we cap off this first TikTok time of house call history.
All right.
Another T3 staple, bringing over to house call. We're going to play 20 questions. So you guys know how this game works. I'm going to think of an NFL player. You guys have 20 questions to guess who I'm thinking of in my head.
Okay, you're going to hell, but this is hard.
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, I'm not going to Patrick Mahomes.
All right.
But it's a player that has some notoriety, some relevancy.
Okay.
So what's the first question, Donovan?
Is this a current player?
This is a current player.
Okay.
We got
Cool.
him. We got him.
Mental straitjacket.
I got another question for you. Is he on offense?
He is an offensive player.
Is he a
Boom.
quarterback?
He is not a quarterback.
Ooh, okay.
10 positions to go.
All
Rattle them off.
right. Was he drafted in this decade?
Yes, he was.
In the 2020s.
Okay,
decade.
Oh,
yeah.
the 2020s. What year was he drafted? Yes, he was drafted in the 2020s.
2020s. Okay. Young player.
Is he a running back?
He is a running back.
Oh, shit.
All right, perfect. How many questions do we have left?
That's only 5 questions.
15, and we know it's a
Yeah,
running back.
I can start having fun.
You would think, though. 7 rounds in each draft. There's a lot of running backs out there drafted.
It is.
Has he made a Pro Bowl?
No.
Damn.
Actually, wait. Yes.
He
has made a Pro Bowl. I forgot he made a Pro Bowl. That Fugazi-ass selection.
I don't even know who made Pro Bowls anymore. Like,
Everybody's made a Pro
that's
Bowl.
what I'm saying.
They play flag football. I don't know why I thought I knew. 17 people turned it down.
It's such a joke. It's just ridiculous.
That's embarrassing.
All right. Does he currently play in the AFC?
He does not.
NFC guy. We got 4 divisions.
Okay.
Should I rattle him off?
I got them here for you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Does he play in the South?
He does not.
Does he play in the East?
He does not.
Does he play in the West?
He does not.
Dang it! I wasted 3. I was hoping it was one of them.
Oh my gosh.
That's
fuck.
not annoying. Okay, so he plays
All right.
in the North. See, but this is what I'm saying. You don't have to ask a question there.
Okay.
Free game.
I guess. Fuck. Bitch ass game. Keep it, man.
But we're at like 12 questions right now.
Yeah, 10.
Damn. we were
10?
fucking 10.
Halfway
Fuck.
there.
All right. It would be embarrassing if you fumble this, man.
All right, look, it's a running back in the NFC.
Did they make the
North.
playoffs last year?
No.
Damn.
They didn't.
Team is kind of bunched.
Chicago Bears
Yeah,
running
it
back.
sounds like is DJ Moore?
Did you know that a running back?
He's not a running back.
Oh fuck! I thought he was.
Is this DeAndre Swift?
This is DeAndre Swift.
There we go.
Okay. I said DJ
You guess
Moore.
every division, eventually you'll get there.
I couldn't lose the first one.
You got it.
I couldn't do it.
1-1 in 20 questions on house call history. How do you feel?
1-0, undefeated. You know,
It took a little bit too long,
DeAndre Swift really made a Pro Bowl. That's crazy.
but that was fun.
it's so stupid.
Eagles tax.
It's so dumb.
1,000 yards rushing. All right, Diamond, you think of a name?
He should thank Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, facts.
I have a name. I'm playing like I don't have a name. I do have a name.
Is your player currently playing?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, he's not playing. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. I was
Okay.
about to say.
Former player, Hall of Famer. Is he a quarterback?
No.
Damn it. Is he a defender?
No.
Okay, so
Okay,
non-quarterback
he's-
offensive player.
Non-quarterback. He's an offensive player, and he's made a Hall of Famer.
Shot in the dark. This is Calvin Johnson.
No.
Okay, is he a tight end?
No.
Damn. Is this an offensive lineman?
No. Y'all got to start getting some yeses.
Fuck. Is he black?
Yes.
Good old reliable.
Okay, so it's not a lineman, not a quarterback, Hall of Famer.
Okay, so I'm assuming he might be a running back.
You guys are at 8 questions right now.
And we can get this bitch in 14 questions.
Okay.
We're fine.
What? I'll take 6 questions off.
All right,
now. You
yeah,
guys
yeah.
have 6 more questions.
Is this Adrian Peterson?
Nope. 5.
Damn it.
Damn. Okay.
Did he play in the 2000s?
Yes.
Okay. This is Larry Fitzgerald.
Nope.
Damn
Ooh.
it. What is that?
Has he been to a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay.
How many questions are we at?
You have 2 more to get to 14.
Fuck 14. So what are we at?
So two more to get to 14. So you're at 12 now.
Okay, I had 12
Okay.
So
questions.
you have 8 questions left.
Is he a
Okay.
wide receiver?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, wide receiver, played in the 2000s. He was in the Super Bowl.
He was in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Did he make that Super Bowl on an AFC team?
No.
Okay.
NFC team. Was that Super Bowl between 2005 and 2010?
No.
It was later.
Later.
NFC team made the Super Bowl. So he made the Super Bowl in the 2010s.
No.
Huh.
It was one of the first 4 of the decade? Oh, okay.
Huh.
Or was it in the 2020s? No, you said he played in the 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Super Bowl was between 2000 and 2004.
Okay, 2000 and 2004.
You guys have 5 questions.
For the NFC team, is this Terrell Owens?
It is Terrell.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that, I was going to be cooked.
Yeah.
I should have known you picking Eagle.
There we go. Oh, man. That was fun.
You thought he doesn't have a stumped?
Yeah, I was going to be cooked.
You thought he's dumbass thought he got us?
Yeah.
You guys were talking. I can get it in 14. You got it in 15. You're wrong.
Yeah,
So I'm counting that as 0-1.
I was just throwing out
I'm
names.
now undefeated in 20 questions.
Oh my god. You know what? 10 questions. You guys have 10 questions to guess the player I'm thinking of.
Take
Oh,
it.
shit. All right, let's do it.
10 questions to think the player I'm thinking of.
I wasn't
I'll
talking.
do-
You have 10 questions. You have 10
Let's do
questions.
it.
I'll pick somebody else.
I
You
got a
have 10
player. No, I
questions.
got a player. You got 10
Okay,
questions.
I'm
No,
picking
give it
somebody
to him,
else right
give it to
now. I'm picking somebody else right
I
now.
already got a player.
Let it go. All
I
right.
don't give a damn about your
All
pick.
right, no, let's lock in. We can do this shit in really 6.
Stop. No, we need 10 questions. We need 10 questions.
Use them wisely.
Yeah. All right. Is he currently playing?
He is not.
Ooh, okay. So
Get
retired guy. Fuck.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Borderline.
Ooh, he might have us in the blender.
I don't actually know if it's borderline or not. It's obviously like it's a debate.
Okay.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Is he a skill position player?
I don't know if this player counts as a skill position. Ask you a different question.
Okay.
No, I'll just clarify. Skill position. Wide receiver, tight end, running back.
Okay. I didn't know if you counted this position because it's like
So it sounds like he plays on offense. That's a context clue right there.
he's not a skill position player.
Okay. He basically said he plays on offense. Good question regardless.
He's
Okay.
not a skill position player.
Sounds like a special teams merchant.
No.
Okay.
All right. So with 3 questions in, not a Hall of Famer, not a skill position player,
Retired.
retired.
Retired. Okay.
So is this a quarterback?
This is a quarterback. So I'm like, like it's not skill position, but like
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
want to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, it's not one. Okay.
Okay.
Fair. So is the team?
Wait, what era did he give us an era that he played in?
No.
Okay.
Is the team that he's most known for in the AFC?
Nope.
Okay.
NFC retired quarterback.
I'll give you a
Did he
hint.
play in the?
I'll give you a hint. He never touched foot in the AFC.
Oh, never touched foot. Wow.
I'll throw you a bone because I'm nice. You're
Okay.
5 questions in. You're not even close.
Did he play in the 2010s?
Yes, he played in the 2010s.
Whole career.
Okay.
Never touched
Sounds like
foot
a-
in the AFC.
Didn't even sniff it.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. I
4
mean,
questions
you're
left.
thinking 2 ways. He might be an insane bust or just, not even a regular season merchant, just a dude,
Just
memed out dude potentially.
okay. So yeah, because you might be onto something. He might be giving
It's-
us a bust.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask that question, but you wouldn't do that right now.
I don't know. Would I?
You wouldn't do that.
Should I?
You know what? Take a guess.
Wait. Shot in the dark. This might be a bad question.
Take your guess.
But I think I'm cooking. Has he won a Heisman?
No, he didn't win a Heisman.
That's a wild pull.
I thought he was going
you were
somewhere.
Gonna guess a name and not
No,
another question.
not a name. I was gonna count down the
questions
options.
left.
Fuck, bro. All right, this is intense.
You better get some. You better throw out some defining features.
Yeah.
There's big questions you haven't asked.
Has he played in a Super Bowl?
He has.
Oh fuck. All right. He's played in the Super Bowl. Wait, I thought he didn't even sniff a championship game.
No.
No.
He never sniffed the AFC.
He never played for an AFC team.
Oh, AFC team. Okay.
Yeah.
But the NFC played in the Super Bowl. I mean, there's
Retired player.
Super Bowl quarterbacks.
Not a Hall of Famer.
Retired
Retired player.
Not a Hall of Famer.
Only played in the NFC. Played in the Super Bowl.
So list off some quarterbacks roughly around
it's
the
okay. Well,
2010s
they
era.
said he played
You have
in
two
the
questions left.
he played in the 2010s,
Mm-hmm.
and so if we go through like the NFC quarterbacks
Mm-hmm.
and all those guys who made it, like you got if we just go in the 2010s, it's like Aaron Rodgers, but he's played in the AFC. Colin Kaepernick made one. McNabb has played in the Super Bowl. McNabb has played in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton went to the AFC.
Come on, get a question out there. No meander.
Let's throw a quarterback. Let's throw a quarterback out.
This is Donovan McNabb.
This is not Donovan McNabb.
We got one more.
One question left.
Oh
And
my
it
god.
has to be a player.
Quarterback
my
only played in the
gosh.
NFC. He made Super Bowl. This is not difficult. Don't fold.
I might fold.
Is this Cam Newton?
Dude, Cam Newton's played in the AFC.
I thought you said NFC.
Cam Newton's played in both.
You are not listening. He used the last question.
This is Eli Manning.
I saw that.
This is Eli Manning.
My first sell in house call history. Could be good, could be bad.
And with that being said, that's
I'm just
the end of
happy
the
I
first
got it
episode.
out the way. God damn
That is
it.
the end of our first episode of House Call. We got the most selling.
Were you gonna get Eli?
I wasn't gonna guess Cam Newton, who we already ruled out 5 questions ago.
You also asked, did he win a Heisman? I said no.
Yeah.
We ruled that out
Damn.
6 questions ago.
Cam did win a Heisman too. Damn.
If you're still here, comment. Mo's already selling. That's the end of House Call episode 1. Appreciate y'all coming through. Like we said, join us, grow with us. It should be a fun time.
I'll be back, man.
Redemption will be had.
I'll be avenged.
I will see y'all next week.